His social rating is 0.3 out of 10. Category: invisible. Status: object. That's how the system, which popped into his head right there in the school bathroom, assessed him. And the first task sounds wild. Feed the straight-A student who hasn't eaten anything in 2 days. A second before that, Ryo Tanaka is holding him by the back of the neck with one hand and dunking his face in the sink. For Tanaka, this is his morning warm-up, like coffee before the first class. The laughter grows louder, the door slams. Silence. Jisoo stands alone. Water drips from his bangs onto the collar of his uniform. He looks in the mirror and doesn't recognize the person staring back at him. Not because he's changed, but because 3 years ago he stopped looking. And then a thought occurs to him, quiet, flat. If he were to disappear right now, no one would notice. His mother would notice. She works 2 jobs and comes home at 11 at night with red hands, silently setting out rice for him. No one else. He closes his eyes. And then it happens. White text flashes right inside his head, not on the mirror, not on the wall, like subtitles that only he can see. The reassessment system is activated. Hello, Jisoo. The world was wrong about you. He blinks. The text remains. He waves his hand through the letters. His fingers pass through as if through air. His heart is pounding. He thinks he's going crazy. 3 years of bullying, and here's the result. Hallucinations in the bathroom on Monday morning. The text changes. You're not crazy. Lift your head. And beneath his reflection, a line lights up. Current rating, 0.3 out of 10. Not even a 1. The system rates him lower than he rated himself. A new line. Feed Cho Yoon. She hasn't eaten in 2 days. He reads it twice. Cho Yoon, class president. The straight-A student with the perfect smile and a neat ponytail. The one who's always in the front row, writing down every word the teacher says. The one who never looks hungry.
She hasn't eaten in 2 days. His hands are shaking. But he knows what hunger is. That year when his father left, his mother couldn't buy rice for 3 days. The ration card had been blocked because of debts. Jisoo ate dry bread from the cafeteria and washed it down with tap water. He remembers that hunger. Not in his stomach, in his head. When you think only of food and nothing else. The bell rings. Jisoo steps out into the hallway. No one is looking. He takes his usual route, along the wall, not in the center, eyes on the floor. For 3 years he's honed this gait, the art of being invisible. He walks past Tanaka's group and sits down at his desk, the back row, by the window, the seat no one wanted. And then the system displays something new. Above Yuna's head in the front row hangs text that no one else can see. She pretends everything is fine. In reality, she's dizzy from hunger. She counts down the minutes until the end of class. Jisoo looks away. He looks at the others. Above Tanaka, a line. He's pleased with himself. In reality, his father didn't come to his game yesterday, for the 4th time. Above Kenji, he's laughing. In reality, he's afraid Tanaka will turn his attention to him. Too much for a Monday. For 3 years, Jisoo survived by becoming a piece of furniture, and now the system is forcing him to watch, for real. The bell rings for the long break, and for the first time in 3 years, he heads to the cafeteria with a purpose. The cafeteria is buzzing. 200 people are in line for fish cutlets. Jisoo walks past the tables, past Tanaka, who is chewing on something expensive from a takeout container. He approaches the serving window. Behind it is Aunt Marita. 60 years old, red face, hands like a wrestler's. 20 years of experience and a look as if she hates every student personally. Jisoo bows and asks for 5 minutes. He has an idea. Marita looks at him like he's crazy, then at the line, then at the mountain of unwashed pots, and waves her hand. Go ahead, just don't get in the way. Jisoo steps behind the counter, grabs a frying pan, finds rice, yesterday's, perfect, eggs, kimchi in a big barrel, sesame oil, and his hands stop shaking, for the first time all day. He remembers how his father used to make kimchi bokkeumbap on Sundays, a hot skillet, sesame oil, rice from the day before because fresh rice falls apart. And the secret, a pinch of sugar in the kimchi to cut the acidity and bring out the umami. His body remembers every movement. He cranks the stove to maximum, oil in the pan, waits until it smokes, tosses in the kimchi, 30 seconds, sugar, breaks the rice right into the center, egg. The spatula works quickly. His left hand tosses the pan, just like his father showed him. Marita sets the pan down and freezes. The smell wafts through the dining hall. Sesame and kimchi and something else, something homemade. Heads turn. A minute and a half. Jisoo takes the pan off the heat. A neat mound of rice with a golden crust, an egg on top, kimchi on the side. Hot. Authentic. He grabs a plate and walks through the cafeteria. 200 pairs of eyes. He approaches Yuna's table. She's sitting alone. In front of her is an open textbook and a glass of water. No food, no lunchbox, not even a candy bar wrapper. Jisoo sets the plate down next to the textbook. Yuna looks up. Her eyes widen slightly. He speaks softly. Eat. No need to answer. I'll leave. And he turns away. 3 steps. 4. 5. Silence behind him. Then a sound. A spoon touches a plate. He doesn't turn around, and the system displays a line. Task completed. Grade updated. 0.3. 0.9. Out of the corner of his eye, he sees that Yuna is eating, quickly, hungrily. She holds the spoon in one hand, the other covers her face, because she's crying, silently, in the middle of 200 people. And a few of those 200 see it too. They don't know who this guy is who was just cooking in the school kitchen, but they see that the perfect Cho Yuna is crying over a bowl of rice, and by the end of the break, the first whispers are spreading through the school. That quiet one from the back row, it turns out he can cook, and it turns out he exists. Jisoo sits in his last class and can't concentrate. Lines from the system flicker before his eyes every time he looks at one of his classmates. It's like subtitles have been turned on for a movie he's been watching without sound for 3 years. History teacher Yamada says something about the Meiji period. A line appears above his head. He thinks about divorce. His own voice makes him sick. Jisoo looks away. He doesn't want to know this. He didn't ask to know this. The bell rings. The school day is over. Jisoo packs his backpack quickly, out of habit. The faster he leaves, the less chance someone will catch him in the hallway or at the exit. He stands up and heads for the door. And for the first time in 3 years, someone stops him, not with a shove, not with a trip, with a voice. Wait. He turns around. Yuna is standing by her desk. Her textbooks are stacked in a perfect pile. Her face is calm. Her eyes are red. She's holding a plate in her hands, that very one, clean, washed. She holds it out and says thank you. Just thank you, nothing more. Jisoo takes the plate. Their fingers don't touch. He nods and walks out. In the hallway, he leans against the wall and exhales. His heart is pounding as if he'd just run a 100-meter dash. The system pops up a comment. Cho Yuna will remember this day for the rest of her life. You have no idea. Jisoo covers his eyes with his hand. He's no hero, he just made some food. That's all he knows how to do. He leaves the school through the back door, his usual route, past the gym, past the bike rack, through a hole in the fence that no one has fixed for 3 years. It's 7 minutes shorter that way, and he doesn't have to walk past the main entrance where Tanaka's group usually hangs out. He walks down the street. An April evening, cool but dry. The cherry blossoms have already fallen, and the petals lie on the asphalt in brown patches. He pulls out his phone. One message from his mother. I'll be late. Rice is in the rice cooker. Don't wait. He puts his phone away. No one's home, as usual. The apartment is small, 2 rooms. The kitchen is the size of a pantry. There's a photograph on the kitchen wall. His father is standing in front of a restaurant. The sign is behind him, a broad smile, hands covered in flour. Jisoo was in that photo too, sitting on his father's shoulders, but his mother cropped the photo after his father left. Now there's only his father and the restaurant on the wall, without Jisoo. He stands in front of that photo and thinks that today, for the first time in 3 years, he cooked. Not for himself, for someone else. And his hands remembered everything. Every movement, every tilt of the pan, every second over the flame. His father taught him when Jisoo was 12, a year before everything fell apart. Sit down and watch. Don't write it down. Your hands will remember. Your head will forget, but your hands won't. His father was right. The system is sending a new message, tomorrow's assignment. Help Moon Somi fix the oven in the cooking club. She's been trying for a week. Moon Somi, the youngest, freshman in high school, petite, with pigtails, from the cooking club. Jisoo remembers her. Last week, she was dragging a bag of flour down the hallway, 20 kilograms. The bag was bigger than she was. Jisoo helped carry it to the classroom. She thanked him and smiled. It was the first time in a long time that someone at this school had smiled at him without an ulterior motive. He goes to bed. The ceiling is white with a lightning-shaped crack. He's been staring at that crack every night for 2 years now.
Usually at this moment, he thinks about tomorrow, about which route to take so he doesn't run into Tanaka, about which bathroom to hide in during the long break, about how to become even more invisible. Today, he thinks about the oven. What model, gas or electric? If it's gas, the problem is most likely with the thermocouple or the solenoid valve. If it's electric, he needs to check the heating element and the thermostat. He knows this because the oven at his father's restaurant broke down every 3 months and his father couldn't afford a repairman. They fixed it together. His father took it apart. Jisoo held the flashlight and handed him the tools. By the time he was 13, he could replace the thermocouple himself. Tuesday morning. Jisoo arrives at school 20 minutes early. He's carrying a small container. It holds an obento, a simple one, rice, tamago, 3 slices of pickled cucumber, packed neatly. He made it at 6 in the morning in that very same storage kitchen for Yuna. He walks into the empty classroom. He places the container on Yuna's desk. No note, no name, just the container. He leaves. He heads to the cooking club. The room is on the 3rd floor. The door is ajar. Inside, Moon Somi is kneeling in front of the oven, staring at it as if trying to fix it with the power of her mind. Tools are scattered around her. A screwdriver, pliers, something looks like a multimeter but without batteries. Jisoo knocks on the doorframe. Somi jumps and turns around. Her eyes widen. She recognizes him, the guy with the bag of flour. Jisoo says he wants to take a look at the oven. Somi says the oven hasn't worked for a week and that the cooking club is basically dead because without an oven they can't bake, and that she's gone to the maintenance manager 4 times and every time he said there's no budget. She says all this in one breath, fast, loud, waving her arms. Jisoo sits on the floor next to the oven. Electric, old. A model they stopped making 10 years ago. He opens the back panel. Somi stands over him and watches. He asks for a screwdriver, a Phillips head one, a small one. Somi hands it to him. He removes the cover and spots the problem immediately, the thermostat. The contact is oxidized, a green coating on the terminals. He asks for sandpaper. Somi doesn't have any. He pulls a 10-yen coin out of his pocket and carefully scrapes the oxidation off the contacts. He tightens the terminals with pliers. He puts the cover back on. He turns it on. A coil lights up inside the oven, red, hot, alive. Somi looks at him as if he'd just pulled the sun out of his pocket. She says he's a genius. Jisoo says it's just an oxidized contact. She says no, genius. The system displays a line above Somi, happy. For the first time in a long time, she feels like someone is taking her seriously. Mission accomplished. Social evaluation 1.2. Jisoo leaves the club. The bell rings for first period. He walks down the hallway and notices something strange. 2 girls from a parallel class are looking at him, not through him, At him. One whispers something to the other nods. They walk by. Jisoo stops. They haven't seen him in 3 years. For 3 years he was a wall, a desk, a shadow. And now 2 unfamiliar girls are whispering while looking at him. He doesn't know what to do about it. First reaction, fear. It's a setup. It's a new form of bullying. Tanaka will show up any minute now and say he set it all up for the attention. Second reaction, deeper, quieter. What if it isn't? He walks into the classroom. Yuna is sitting at her desk, a container in front of her. Open, empty. She turns around for a second. Their eyes meet. She doesn't smile, doesn't say thank you. She just looks. But there's something in that look that wasn't there before. Jisoo sits down at his seat. The system is silent. Sometimes silence speaks louder. A big change. Jisoo goes to the cafeteria. This time he doesn't go into the kitchen. He just takes his tray and sits down, alone, as always. And then Somi sits down at his table, without asking, without an invitation. She sets her tray down next to his and starts talking about the cooking club, about how they want to bake bread for the school festival, but no one knows how to work with yeast dough, about how the older students have left and no one teaching the younger ones. Jisoo listens. He isn't used to people talking to him at lunch. He isn't used to anyone sitting next to him voluntarily. Somi notices his silence and asks if everything is okay. Jisoo says yes, it's just unusual. Somi looks at him and says he's strange, but in a good way, not a bad way. The system displays a comment. Moon Somi is the only person in this school who talks to you normally without triggering a reassessment. Remember her. Jisoo takes a sip of water and, for the first time in 3 years, thinks that maybe lunch doesn't have to be spent alone. Wednesday, the 3rd day with the system. Jisoo stands at the school gates and sees lines above the heads of every student entering. Before he used to look at the ground, now he can't. The system won't let him look away. It doesn't force him physically. It's just that once he knows he can see the truth, he can no longer pretend not to see it. It's like seeing a crack in the wall. After that, his eyes return to it every time. Above the boy from Class A, doesn't want to go home. There are screams again. Over the girl with the ponytail from Class B. She didn't sleep all night. She studied what she already knows because she's afraid of making a mistake. Over the gym teacher. His knee hurts. He can't afford surgery. Jisoo enters the building. His backpack is heavier than usual. There are 2 lunchboxes inside. One is for Yuna. Today, salmon onigiri and a small thermos of miso soup. Because it's cold in the morning, and Yuna always sits by the window where the draft comes in. The second container is for Somi, because yesterday he saw that she had only bread and milk for lunch. He walks into the classroom. He places the container on Yuna's desk, with a practiced motion, no note. He heads to the 3rd floor to the cooking club. He sets the second container on the table. Somi isn't there yet. She'll come later. He leaves and heads back. In the 2nd floor hallway, he's intercepted. Tanaka is standing by the wall. Next to him are Kenji and another guy whom Jisoo knows as Itsuki. The 3rd one is from the basketball team. Tanaka says he heard an interesting story, that Jisoo is now playing chef and feeding the girls, and that it's cute. It really is cute, like a dog fetching a stick. Kenji laughs. Itsuki looks away. The system displays a line above Tanaka, annoyed. He doesn't understand why Yuna would eat food from anyone. It doesn't fit into his worldview. Tanaka steps closer. He's a head taller than Jisoo, broader in the shoulders. His hand rests on Jisoo's shoulder and squeezes. Not hard, but enough to make it clear. Tanaka says Jisoo needs to stop, that he looks pathetic, that people are starting to think Yuna is hanging out with him and that it's ruining her reputation. Jisoo stays silent, an old habit, not to respond, and not to look him in the eye, to wait until they let him go. But today something shifts, a small shift, like a coin that's been on its edge for 3 years and has finally fallen to one side. He lifts his head, looks Tanaka in the eye,
not aggressively, not defiantly, just looks, and says that he's just cooking, that it's not a crime. Tanaka blinks. This isn't the reaction he expected. The ghost of Jisoo doesn't raise his. Jisoo's ghost doesn't look him in the eye. Jisoo's ghost nods and walks away. And this Jisoo stands there and waits. A second, 2, 3. Tanaka takes his hand away. He says that Jisoo is asking for it. He turns and walks away. Kenji follows him. Itsuki pauses for a second. He looks at Jisoo. A line appears above him. He's surprised. He didn't expect him to answer. Itsuki turns away and leaves. Jisoo stands in the empty hallway. His knees are trembling slightly. His hands are in his pockets so no one can see his fingers shaking. But he stands there. He didn't leave first. The system displays a message. For the first time in 1,095 days, you didn't look away. Recording. 1,095 days. 3 years. The system has been counting. First period, literature. Teacher Tsuki. Emma enters the classroom. Young, 26 years old, half American. Dark hair down to her shoulders, thin-framed glasses. She's the only teacher who tried to do something about the bullying 3 years ago. She wrote a report. She spoke to the principal. The result? The report went missing. She was transferred from homeroom duty to teaching only her subject, an unofficial demotion. Since then, she's taught literature and kept quiet. But Jisoo remembers. He remembers how she stood at the teacher's lounge door, her face red, telling someone that this was unacceptable. He was standing around the corner and heard it. She doesn't know he heard. The system highlights a line above Emma. She feels guilty every time she sees Jisoo. She thinks she betrayed him. Jisoo lowers his gaze to his textbook. He doesn't want to know that. He doesn't want to know that someone feels guilty because of him. That's harder to bear than hatred. He's used to hatred. He's not used to the fact that someone suffers because of his existence. The class ends. Emma lingers at her desk. She straightens the stack of notebooks and glances at Jisoo as if by accident. Their eyes meet for a split second. Emma quickly looks away. Jisoo leaves. Long break, cafeteria. Jisoo sits down alone. A minute later, Somi appears, with a tray, with a big smile. She says she found the container and that the onigiri were incredible and that she almost cried right in class when she opened the lid. Jisoo says he's glad. Somi sits across from him and starts talking about the cooking club, about how the oven works perfectly and how they finally baked their first batch of yeast bread. Bad yeast bread, but their first. Jisoo listens and notices that Kim Hyun is sitting 2 tables away from them, the captain of the swim team, the face of the school's advertising campaign. Long hair, straight back, a perfect posture even at lunch. Around her are 3 friends who are laughing and showing something on their phones. Hyun smiles, but the system displays a line. Tired of smiling, wants to be left alone for at least 10 minutes. Jisoo looks away. It's none of his business. He has no assignment related to Hyun. The system isn't asking, so there's no need to get involved. He finishes his lunch and stands up. As he leaves the cafeteria, a voice stops him. Unfamiliar. Female, with a slight accent. Hey, are you the guy who was cooking in the kitchen yesterday? He turns around. Red hair, freckles, a wide smile. Her school uniform hangs a little crooked, as if she hasn't quite figured out the rules for wearing it yet. Liz Carson, an exchange student from Oregon. She's standing there with a tray in her hands, looking right at him, not through him, not past him, right at him. She says she saw him cooking, that it was impressive, that she didn't know Japanese high school students could handle a frying pan like that. Jisoo says he's Korean Japanese, half and half. Liz says that's even cooler. Jisoo doesn't know what to say. He's not used to compliments. He's not used to someone coming up to him and starting a conversation just because they want to. The system displays a line above Liz. Glad she found someone interesting. She's afraid she'll seem pushy.
Liz asks if she can sit with him at lunch tomorrow. Jisoo says there's room at his table.
There's always room. His table is always empty. Liz laughs, loudly, openly. A few heads turn. She says he's funny. Jisoo thinks he wasn't joking, but he doesn't correct her. After class, the system displays a new message. Attention, Tanaka-kun posted in the school chat. Content. Does anyone know why that ghost in the back row suddenly started feeding the girls? I think it's creepy. 14 likes under the post, 3 laughing emojis, and 1 comment from an account without a profile picture. He just made some food. What's so creepy about that? Jisoo looks at the screen. He's not in the school chat. He was kicked out of it a year ago. The system is just showing it to him. 14 likes, 3 laughing emojis, 1 supporter. He doesn't know who this anonymous person is, but for the first time, someone in Seirin's digital space has taken his side. The system adds, "Don't try to find out who it is. Some things are more important when they remain unknown." Jisoo turns off the system. Or rather, he tries to. It turns out it doesn't have an off button. It just dims when he asks and brightens when it sees fit. Like a cat that sometimes listens and sometimes does whatever it wants. He heads home. His phone rings in his pocket. His mother. He answers. She says she'll be out until midnight, second shift. She tells him to eat and go to bed. Jisoo says he'll eat. He hangs up. He stops at a store on the way. He buys groceries, just a little, as much as he can afford with the money his mother leaves him for the week. There's rice at home, 3 eggs, an onion, a carrot, a pack of udon, a small bottle of soy sauce because the old one is running out. At home he cooks, not for an assignment, not for the system, for his mother. Udon with vegetables, simple, hot. He leaves it in a pot on the stove with a note. Reheat it when you get home. There's udon. It's delicious. He goes to bed. He closes his eyes. The system flickers quietly in the dark. Social rating, 1.5.
Category updated. Invisible changed to noticed. Noticed. Jisoo repeats the word to himself. For 3 years he was invisible. 3 days ago, they dunked his head in the sink. And today he was noticed. Today, a red-headed girl from Oregon asked to sit with him at lunch. Today, he looked Tanaka in the eye and didn't look away. Today, someone anonymous stood up for him in the school chat. He falls asleep, for the first time in a long time, without a thought about how to survive tomorrow, with a thought about what to cook. Thursday. Jisoo wakes up at 5:30. The kitchen is clean. The udon pot has been washed and is sitting on the drying rack. That means his mother ate. He stands there for a minute, looking at the clean pot. It's the best review of his cooking he's ever received. The system turns on gently, like an alarm clock that doesn't blare but gradually increases in brightness. Good morning, Jisoo. Task of the day. Tell teacher Tsuki the truth about who broke the window in the literature classroom. Jisoo freezes with the rice cooker in his hands. The window in the literature classroom, broken 3 days ago. The administration blamed it on hooligans from the neighboring district. A convenient story, no investigation, no trouble. But Jisoo knows the truth. He saw it. On Monday evening, as he was leaving through the back door, Tanaka threw a basketball at the wall. The ball bounced into the window. The glass shattered. Tanaka looked around. No one. He picked up the ball and left. Jisoo was standing around the corner, invisible, as always, and he kept quiet, as always. The system demands the truth. It's not just an assignment, it's a choice. If he tells Emma, Tanaka will find out who ratted him out, and then that hand on his shoulder in the hallway will seem like a gentle hug compared to what's coming. Jisoo is making bento, 3 containers, for Yuna, for Somi, and the third. He stands there with the third container in his hands and thinks for a second. Then he puts it in his backpack. The walk to school. The same streets, the same route. But Jisoo walks a little differently. His shoulders aren't slumped as much. His head isn't bowed as low. Small changes that no one will notice, except the system. His posture has improved by 12% compared to Monday. Keep it up. School. The first container goes on Yuna's desk, as usual. The second container goes on the table in the cooking club. Somi isn't there yet, as usual. Jisoo goes down to the second floor, the literature classroom. The door is open. Emma is sitting at the teacher's desk, a stack of notebooks in front of her, glasses perched on the tip of her nose. She's grading papers, a red pen in her right hand. In her left, she holds a cup of coffee, cold. Jisoo stands in the doorway. The system displays a line above Emma. Tired. Didn't sleep well.
She's thinking about whether to quit at the end of the year. He knocks on the doorframe. Emma looks up. Her eyes widen for a second. Jisoo. He comes in, says he wants to tell her something about the window. Emma leans back in her chair, listens. Jisoo tells her, briefly, without details, without emotion. He saw how Tanaka accidentally broke the window on Monday night. A ball, a wall, a ricochet, glass. Emma is silent for a long time. Then she says she understands it wasn't easy for him to come forward with this, that she'll handle it, that his name won't be mentioned. Jisoo nods. He knows his name will be mentioned. Tanaka isn't stupid. Few people stay late at school. The list of suspects is short. But he told her anyway, because the system asked him to. Or because 3 years of silence is enough. He's no longer sure where the system ends and he begins. On his way out of the office, he places the third container on the corner of the teacher's desk. Emma looks at the container, then at the door. Jisoo is already gone. She opens the lid. Inside are onigiri, 2, with umeboshi, and a small thermos. Coffee, hot, fresh. Emma sits motionless for a minute. Then she takes off her glasses and presses her palm against her eyes. First period. Math. Jisoo sits at his desk and solves equations. The system is silent. Task completed. Social score, a 1.9. But Jisoo isn't looking at the number. He's looking at his phone under the desk. The school chat. He asked Somi to show him what was going on there. Somi showed him. A new post from Tanaka, this time with a photo. Jisoo is standing at the serving window in the cafeteria, cooking. The photo was taken on Monday. Someone from Tanaka's group snapped it from a distance. A caption under the photo. Our school cook. Maybe we should hire him for the cafeteria. 32 likes, 8 laughing emojis. But there's something else too. Comments under the post. Not just mockery. 3 people wrote that the food looks fine. 1 wrote that he'd like to try it. Another wrote that Tanaka is just jealous. Tanaka replied to that person that he could join the team of losers. The person fell silent. But he wrote it. That's important. Big break, cafeteria. There are now 3 people at Jisoo's table. Somi is on the left, Liz is on the right, Jisoo is in the middle. Liz says that in Oregon she went to a cooking club and that there they only made muffins and cookies. Always muffins and cookies. She says she wants to learn something real. Somi says there's a spot in the cooking club. Liz says she'll come tomorrow. Jisoo listens to their conversation and feels something unfamiliar. Not fear, not wariness. Something warm and uncomfortable, like putting on new shoes. The system sends a quiet message. It's called belonging. You'll get used to it. 2 tables away, Hyun is watching their group. A quick glance, a second. She looks away when Liz looks up. The system displays a line. She doesn't understand why she's interested. She's annoyed with herself. After class, Jisoo heads for the exit and hears footsteps behind her. Fast, heavy. Tanaka. He's alone. No Kenji, no Itsuki. He catches up to Jisoo by the stairs, grabs her backpack and yanks her back. Jisoo turns around. Tanaka is close. His face is red. His eyes are angry. He says he knows Jisoo ratted him out from the window, that Emma called him in after school and asked him directly, that he denied it, but Emma didn't believe him, and now, because of Jisoo, he'll have to pay for the window. His father will be furious. Tanaka grips the fabric of the backpack. The fist of his free hand is clenched. The system displays a line. Scared. Angry at himself. He knows he's to blame but can't accept it. Jisoo looks at Tanaka and doesn't see a bully, not a monster. A 17-year-old boy who's afraid of his father, whose hand is clenched into a fist not out of strength, but out of fear.
Jisoo says he didn't want it to be this way, that they would have found the window anyway, that it's better to pay now than to wait until they find the camera footage the principal promised to install next month. Tanaka freezes. Cameras. He hadn't thought about the cameras. Jisoo doesn't know if there will be cameras. He just made that up, right now, on the spot. 3 years of reading people's micro-expressions have taught him one thing. People who are afraid easily believe in threats that haven't happened yet. Tanaka lets go of the backpack. He says Jisoo will regret this. He turns around and walks away, but slower than usual, without that confident stride, without broad shoulders. Jisoo stands and waits until Tanaka disappears around the corner. Then he exhales. His hands are shaking. His legs are shaking. Everything is shaking. But he stands. The system displays a message. You lied about the cameras. The reevaluation is rolling back. Minus 0.1 current rating. 1.8. Jisoo looks at the number. The system doesn't forgive even a small lie, not even the one that saved him from a beating. Rules are rules, only authenticity. He leaves the school through the back door. It starts to rain outside. Light rain. Cold. He didn't bring an umbrella. He walks in the rain and thinks about how he just lost 1/10 of a point for a lie that might have saved him from bruises, and about how the system demands that he be genuine in a world where authenticity is punished. At home, he dries his hair with a towel. He cooks rice. He cuts vegetables for tomorrow's 4 containers. Yuna, Somi, Emma, and the 4th. He looks at the 4th container, empty. He hasn't decided who it's for yet. The system is silent. Sometimes it just watches. His phone vibrates. An unknown number. A message. Hi, it's Liz. Somi gave me your number. I hope you don't mind. Tomorrow, will you teach me how to make onigiri? A question without a question mark. A statement disguised as a request. Jisoo types a reply. Come to the cooking club during the long break. She sends it. She looks at the screen. 3 dots. Liz is typing. The reply comes a second later. Great! And a fire emoji. Jisoo puts her phone down. She sits on the kitchen floor. He leans his back against the locker. Rice is quietly bubbling in the rice cooker. Rain outside the window. The system flickers with a dim light. Social rating, 1.8. Category, noticed. 4 days ago, he was 0.3 and invisible. In 4 days, he learned to lift his head. In 4 days, he found people who sit next to him voluntarily. In 4 days, he received his first message from a peer that wasn't an insult. His mother arrives at 11. He hears her open the door. She takes off her shoes. She walks into the kitchen. She sees a pot of soup on the stove. She stops. She stands motionless for a minute. Then she reheats the soup and eats, quietly. Jisoo lies in her room behind the thin wall and listens to the sound of a spoon against a plate. It's the best sound in the world. Friday, the end of the first week. Jisoo stands in front of the mirror in the bathroom and looks at himself, not in the school bathroom, at home. In a small bathroom with cracked tiles and a light that flickers when he turns on the hot water. He looks at himself and tries to see what the system sees. 1 and 8. Category, detected. What does that mean in human terms? That he is being seen, that his existence has been registered, that he is no longer a piece of furniture. The beginning, but only the beginning. He puts on his uniform, ties his tie, picks up his backpack with 4 containers. Yuna, Somi, Emma. The 4th. He decided last night. The 4th is for Aunt Marita. She feeds 200 students every day, and Jisoo has never once seen anyone bring her food. The system didn't assign this task. It's his own decision. On the way to school, Friday morning. The sun is out, the cherry blossoms are gone, but the leaves have already turned green. Jisoo walks along and notices something on the street corner 100 meters from the school gates. A man in a gray coat, standing by a pole, reading a newspaper. No, he's pretending to read. His eyes are looking over the newspaper, at the school. Jisoo sees him for the third time this week, Monday at the gate, Wednesday at the intersection, Friday on the corner. 3 times the same gray coat, newspaper, unmoving posture. The system reacts. Attention, object outside the school perimeter. Data unavailable. The mirror does not work at a distance of more than 15 meters. Come closer for scanning. Jisoo doesn't fit. He quickens his pace and enters the gate. Not today. He isn't ready yet for what lies beyond the school. School inside. A container on Yuna's desk. A container in the cooking club. A container on Emma's table.
He goes into the cafeteria to see Aunt Marita before classes start. She's already cutting cabbage, with a big knife, quickly, professionally. She's been working in this kitchen for 20 years, but she cuts as if every day were her first. Jisoo places the container on the edge of the work table. Aunt Marita looks at the container, then at Jisoo. He says it's for her, that there's tamagoyaki and rice and a little tsukemono inside, that he figured she probably doesn't have time for breakfast. Aunt Marita is silent. Then she says that in 20 years, not a single student has ever brought her food, not a single one. Jisoo bows and leaves. The system reports. This task was not requested, but it has been recorded. Bonus, social score, 2.0. Category, noticed. Subcategory added, caring. First period. The class is noisy. It's Friday. Everyone is already mentally on the weekend. Jisoo sits at his desk and feels a gaze. Not from the system, he just feels it. 3 years of practice. He turns his head. Sato Ayaka is sitting 2 rows away from him, the queen of the school, the daughter of a hotel chain owner, the very one who, 3 years ago, came up with the nickname Ghost Jisoo. Dark hair, perfect makeup, a bag worth his mother's monthly salary. Ayaka is looking at him, not with contempt, not with mockery, with something resembling curiosity. She quickly looks away when she realizes he's noticed. The system displays a line, doesn't understand what's happening. She's heard the conversations. She tries to match the person she remembers with the one they're talking about. It doesn't work. Jisoo turns away. Ayaka, 3 years ago. First week at Sadine. Jisoo stands in the hallway with the schedule in his hands. He can't find the classroom. Ayaka walks by with her group. She looks at him. She speaks loudly so everyone can hear. Another new ghost. I bet in a week even the teachers will forget him. Everyone laughs. The name sticks. Jisoo the Ghost. From that day until this Friday. 3 years under the nickname given to him by the girl with the 100,000 yen bag. The system doesn't show him what Ayaka was thinking back then. The system only shows the present. Maybe it's for the best. Big break, cooking club. Liz showed up as promised. She's standing in an apron that's 3 sizes too big for her, staring at the rice with the expression of someone about to defuse a bomb. Somi stands nearby, offering advice that doesn't help. Jisoo washes his hands. He demonstrates. His hands are wet. Salt on the palm, just a little. Rice on the palm. Don't squeeze, shape it. 3 movements. A triangle. Don't press down. The rice should hold together because of moisture, not force. If you press down, it'll be a rock, not an onigiri. Liz tries. The first onigiri falls apart. The second looks like a potato. The third is almost a triangle. She holds it up like a trophy and shouts that she did it. Somi applauds. Jisoo says the filling is crooked. Liz says he's ruining the moment. Somi says Jisoo always ruins moments because he's a perfectionist.
Jisoo thinks he's never been called a perfectionist in his life. Usually he was called a ghost or nobody. Perfectionist sounds better. They make 20 onigiri, different fillings, tuna, umeboshi, just salt. Somi suggests handing them out during recess, for free, as a trial run to promote the cooking club. Liz says it's a brilliant idea. Jisoo says he's not sure. Somi says he thinks too much. They hand out onigiri in the hallway. Somi shouts that the cooking club is giving away free onigiri. Liz stands nearby and smiles. Jisoo stands a little behind them and wants to disappear. Old habit. But people come over. They take some. They say thank you. Some look at Jisoo in surprise. They recognize him, that guy from the cafeteria, the one who cooked. 10 minutes later, the onigiri run out. Somi says it's a success. Liz says they need to make 50 tomorrow.
Jisoo says tomorrow is Saturday. Liz says Monday. Jisoo agrees. He isn't used to agreeing. He's used to nodding and walking away. But this is different. He agrees because he wants to. Classes are over. Jisoo leaves the school. Through the main entrance. For the first time in a long time. Not through the back door, not through a hole in the fence. Through the main entrance. His shoulders are slightly squared. His head is held a little higher. Small changes. He walks past the spot where the man in the gray coat was standing this morning. No one there. Just a cigarette butt on the sidewalk. The system flickers. Target gone. Route unknown. Recommendation: be careful. Jisoo is walking home. On the way, his phone vibrates. A message from Liz. Today was great. On Monday, you'll show us how to make ramen. A message from Somi. Senpai, we're out of flour. Can you buy 2 kilograms? I'll pay you back. 2 messages from 2 different people. Both are texting him as if it's normal. As if he's the one they're texting. As if he's part of something. It's quiet at home. His mother is still at work. Jisoo walks into the kitchen. There's a note on the table. Not from his mother. From the system. Right on the table. In white letters that only he can see. Results of the first week. Tasks completed. 4. People fed. 6. People who now know your name. 14. People who smiled at you today. 3. Social rating. 2.0. Category. Noticed. Caring. Days since activation. 5. Jisoo reads the lines and sits down at the table. 14 people know his name. A week ago, that number was 0, not counting the teachers who are supposed to know. 3 people smiled. A week ago, that number was 0, period. He opens the fridge. There's not much food. He has to wait until Monday when his mother leaves money for the week. He takes out what's there. Leftover rice, 1 egg, half an onion, soy sauce. He can make tamago toji with this. Egg on rice with onion and soy sauce. Not a restaurant dish. A dish of poverty.
But if you make it right, the onion adds sweetness, the egg adds silkiness, and the soy sauce ties it all together. His father used to say that a great chef isn't someone who cooks with expensive ingredients. A great chef is someone who makes something out of nothing, something worth sitting down to eat. Jisoo cooks. Tamago toji for himself, and a second serving for his mother. He eats in silence. He washes the dishes. He puts his mother's portion in the fridge with a note. He sits down to do his homework. Math, English, history. He does his homework and thinks that for the first time in a long while, he's doing it not because he's afraid of getting a failing grade, but because tomorrow is a day off and he has time.
And because on Monday he will come to school, and Somi will ask if the textbook she gave him helped, and Liz will say something loud and funny, and Yuna will look at him with that gaze that lasts exactly 1 second but weighs a whole lifetime. The phone vibrates, an unknown number. Not Liz, not Somi. A message, 1 word. Thank you. No signature, no name. Jisoo stares at the screen. Who is it? The system doesn't respond. Some things remain unknown. He puts down the phone, lies down on the futon, closes his eyes. The first week is over. 5 days ago, they dunked his head in the sink. 5 days ago, he thought that if he disappeared, no one would notice.
5 days later, he has a table where 3 people sit, a lunchbox on a stranger's desk every morning, a club where they're waiting for him, and a phone with messages not from his mother. The system flickers dimly in the darkness. Week 1 is complete. The world is starting to see you, Jisoo. But this is only the beginning. Ahead lie those who don't want you to be seen. Ahead lie those who know more about the system than you do. Ahead lies the truth about your father. Sleep. Tomorrow will be a long day. Jisoo closes his eyes. Behind the wall, the front door lock clicks. His mother has arrived. He hears her footsteps in the kitchen, the sound of the refrigerator opening. A pause, a quiet exhale. The sound of food being heated, a spoon against a plate. Silence. And then, completely silent. So quiet that he isn't sure if he's hearing it. His mother's voice. She says his name. Just his name. And nothing else. But in the way she says it, you can hear everything. Jisoo lies in the dark and smiles. For the first time in a long time, the smile doesn't feel foreign on his face. Monday, the 2nd week. Jisoo arrives at school and feels that something has changed. Not in him, in the air, in the way people move down the hallway, in the way they look or don't look. A group of third-year students is standing by the main entrance. They're talking quietly. As Jisoo walks by, one of them turns his head, not hostilely, with interest, the way they look at a new student. Only Jisoo isn't new. He's in his 2nd year here. They just hadn't seen him before. The system activates gently. Good morning. Social score 2.0. Assignment for the day. Find out why Kim Hyun missed practice on Friday. Kim Hyun, captain of the swim team. The one who watches from afar and turns away when she's noticed. Jisoo stops in the hallway. He doesn't know Hyun. She's from another world, the world where people have sponsors and endorsement deals and photos in the school newspaper. He's from the world of back row seats and hidden textbooks. How is he supposed to approach her and ask about practice? The system doesn't answer. It never explains how. Just now, Jisoo sets out the containers. Yuna, Somi, Emma, and Morita. 4 points on the map of his morning route. 4 people who are now waiting for him every day. He knows this because Yuna now comes to class 5 minutes early. So the container isn't left on the desk unattended. So no one sees it and asks questions. So she can open the lid in the silence of the empty classroom and see what he's prepared today. They don't talk about it, not a word. But every evening, Jisoo thinks about what to make for her tomorrow, and every morning she comes early. It's their silent ritual. First period, English. Jisoo sits and thinks about Hyun. He can't just walk up and ask. That's not his style. It's nobody's style, really. The swim team captain and the ghost from the back of the classroom. Even in this new reality where he's been noticed, it looks strange. The system offers a task. The system doesn't suggest a method, so he has to figure it out himself. Recess. Jisoo heads to the gym building, not to the pool, to the bulletin board next to the locker rooms. Practice schedule. Swim team. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, from 4 to 6. Today is Monday, practice at 4. If Hyun comes, he'll wait after practice. If he doesn't come, it must be something serious. He goes back to class. Long break. Cooking club. Liz is already there, in an apron. Her hair is tied back in a ponytail. Her sleeves are rolled up. She's standing in front of the work table looking at the ingredients as if she's preparing for an exam. Somi is next to her. She's explaining something about flour. Jisoo walks in and Liz turns around immediately. She says she's ready for ramen. Jisoo says ramen isn't a one-day thing. Ramen takes a week. The broth simmers for at least 6 hours. The noodle dough needs to be kneaded, rolled out, and cut. The tare is a whole other story. They'll start with the basics. Liz says she's not going to wait a week. Jisoo says ramen doesn't ask for her opinion. Somi laughs. Liz looks at Jisoo with an expression he can't read. The system displays a line. She likes that he isn't trying to please her. For the first time in a long time, someone is saying no to her. They start with dashi, the foundation of Japanese cuisine, kombu and katsuobushi. Jisoo demonstrates. Heat the water, but don't let it boil. Remove the kombu before it boils. If you boil it too long, it will taste bitter. Add the katsuobushi after it boils, 30 seconds. Strain. Liz asks why it has to be so complicated when you can just buy powder. Jisoo says that powder is a lie pretending to be the truth. Real dashi is alive. It smells of the sea and smoke. Powder smells of chemicals and compromise. Liz laughs and says he's a culinary philosopher. Somi writes down every word in a notebook with a floral cover. The system is silent. Some moments require no comment. After class, Jisoo heads to the gym. 4 o'clock, practice begins. He stands at the entrance and waits, not inside, outside, on a bench, with a math textbook, pretending to study, actually listening. The coach's whistles drift in through the open windows, splashes of water, voices, among them Hyun's voice. She's here. So Friday's absence didn't happen again. Good. Or maybe not. Maybe she came against her will. Practice ends at 6. Girls in sports jackets with wet hair come out of the building. Hyun comes out last, alone. A bag slung over her shoulder. Her hair pulled back into a low bun. No makeup. She looks different than she does at school. Younger, quieter. The system displays a line. Tired. My shoulder hurts. I didn't tell the coach because the tryouts are in 2 weeks. Jisoo gets up from the bench. Hyun notices him. She stops. Her eyes narrow slightly. She recognizes him. That guy, the cook, from the cafeteria. From the hallway conversations of the past week. Jisoo says he's been waiting for her. Hyun asks why, directly, without beating around the bush. Jisoo thinks for a second. He can't say it because the system ordered him to. He can't lie because the system will punish him. He tells the truth. He says he noticed she skipped training on Friday, and that she's currently holding her right shoulder lower than her left, and that when she was carrying her bag, she switched it from her right shoulder to her left right by the door. Hyun looks at him for a long time, silently. Her face is expressionless. Then she asks how he knows about Friday. Jisoo says the training schedule is posted on the bulletin board. Hyun asks why he needs her training schedule. Jisoo realizes that sounds strange, very strange. He says he saw it by accident. The system flashes a warning. Lie, minus 0.05, rating 2.15. Jisoo curses inwardly. He corrects himself, says it wasn't by accident, that he came on purpose, that he wanted to make sure she was okay. Hyun takes a step back, not out of fear, out of surprise. The system displays a line. She doesn't understand. No one had noticed before. The coach didn't notice. Her friends didn't notice. But this guy from the back row did. Hyun says she's fine. Her voice is steady, controlled, like someone who's used to being asked just for the sake of it. Jisoo doesn't press the issue. He pulls a small thermos out of his backpack. Hot ginger tea. He made it after class at the cooking club while waiting for practice. Ginger, honey, lemon. The heat relieves muscle tension. Ginger reduces inflammation. His mother, a nurse, taught him that. He holds out the thermos. Hyun looks at him, at the thermos, at him. She doesn't take it, for a few seconds. Then she takes it. Their fingers don't touch. Jisoo says that if her shoulder hurts, she should tell the coach, that the tryouts are in 2 weeks, but if she tears a ligament now, the whole season will be over. That ice after practice and heat before bed, that simple things sometimes work better than nothing. Hyun stands with the thermos in her hands. Something changes on her face, a small thing, a crack in the perfect mask. She says thank you, quietly, quickly. She turns and walks away, at a brisk pace, almost running. The system reports. Mission accomplished, partially. You found out the reason. But she hasn't accepted the help yet. Keep going. Social score, 2.3, including the penalty for lying. Jisoo stands by the gym and watches as Hyun disappears around the corner. She left almost running,
with his thermos, which she didn't return. And she didn't ask his name, though she probably knows it anyway. Everyone at Saren already knows. He's walking home. On the way, he passes that corner where the man in the gray coat used to stand. No one's there today. Just that same cigarette butt on the sidewalk, and another one, fresh. The system is silent. At home, Jisoo is cooking, for his mother. Curry, a simple one, potatoes, carrots, onions, a cheap block of curry roux from the store. But he cuts the vegetables just as his father taught him, all the same size, so they cook evenly, the onions finely, until they're translucent. Carrots on the diagonal, potatoes in cubes. Each cube 3 centimeters. His father was strict about that. Size matters. If one potato cooks and the other doesn't, it's not curry, it's chaos. And chaos isn't tasty. The curry is on the stove. The smell fills the apartment. Jisoo is doing her homework in the kitchen because it's cold in her room and the kitchen is warm from the stove. The phone vibrates. A message from Somi. She sent a photo. Bread. The cooking club's second batch of yeast bread. Round, golden, a little lopsided, but real. Somi wrote one word. It worked. Jisoo replies, "Nice. Next time, lower the temperature by 10 degrees and let it bake for 5 minutes longer. The crust will be thinner." Somi replies that he's unbearable, and she adds a heart. Jisoo looks at the heart. He doesn't know what it means. A heart from a 16-year-old girl who calls him senpai. It's friendly, probably, most likely. He puts his phone away. Evening. His mother comes home at 10. Early for her. She walks into the kitchen. She sees the curry. She stops. She looks at the pot. She lifts the lid. She stands there for a few seconds. Then she sits down at the table. Jisoo comes out of his room. He sits across from her. For the first time in a long while, they eat together, in silence. Mother eats slowly, neatly, like someone who has forgotten how to eat without rushing. When the plate is empty, she looks at Jisoo. Her eyes are moist. She says the curry is delicious, that it's like the one father used to make. Jisoo says yes, it is. Mother is silent. Then she says she's proud of him. Without context, without explanation. She just says it. Jisoo sits there, not knowing what to do with his hands. The system flickers quietly. It doesn't display a line above his mother. Some people don't need to be read. You just need to hear them. Tuesday of the second week. The morning begins with a surprise. Jisoo walks into the classroom and sees a thermos on his desk. That very one. The silver one. The one he gave to Hyun yesterday. Next to the thermos is a note, one line. Your shoulder is better. No signature, no name, but the handwriting is neat, polished. The handwriting of someone who's used to writing beautifully because people are always watching him. Jisoo puts the thermos in his backpack. The system sends a notification. Kim Hyun came to school 15 minutes early to leave this. She waited by the classroom door until the hallway was empty. She didn't want anyone to see. Interesting. Jisoo arranges the containers along his usual route. Yuna, Somi, Emma, Aunt Marita. 4 spots, 4 breakfasts. He thinks he needs to start waking up even earlier. 5 containers is logistics now, not cooking. First period, math. Jisoo solves a problem at the blackboard, the usual routine. The teacher calls out the roll. Before, when he went up to the blackboard, the class went on with its own business. Whispers, phones, yawns. Today, he notices that a few people are watching. Not everyone, not half the class, 4 or 5. But they're watching. The system displays the rows. First, thinks Jisoo looks different. Can't figure out what's changed. Second, heard he's cooking. Wants to try it. Third, Itsuki from Tanaka's group, the row above him. Not sure if Tanaka is right about him, but afraid to say so. Jisoo solves the problem. Correct. He sits down. The lesson continues. During break, the system assigns a task. New. Different. Help Itsuki Ken pass his English course.
He'll fail the semester if he doesn't turn in his essay by Friday. Itsuki, from Tanaka's group, the one who was standing nearby when Tanaka grabbed Jisoo by the backpack, the one who paused for a second and looked surprised. The system wants Jisoo to help someone from the opposing camp. Jisoo stands in the hallway and thinks, it's a trap.
Not from the system, from life. If he approaches Itsuki and offers help, Itsuki will tell Tanaka, and Tanaka will use that, a reason for mockery. The ghost is sucking up. The ghost wants to join our group. The system is silent. It doesn't explain. It just sets the task. Jisoo thinks. Then he goes. Itsuki is standing by the drink machine at the end of the hallway, alone, without Tanaka, without Kenji. He presses the button. A can of tea falls with a clatter. Itsuki picks up the can and notices Jisoo. His body tenses. A small movement, shoulders slightly up, chin slightly down, a defensive posture, like a dog that doesn't know if it's going to be petted or hit. The system displays a line, expecting conflict, preparing to defend himself. Doesn't want this. Jisoo says he heard about the English essay. Itsuki looks at him suspiciously, asks how he knows. Jisoo says that teacher Tsuki mentioned in class that several people have to pay off their debts by Friday. It's true. Emma really did say that in class. It's just that Jisoo didn't know Itsuki was one of the debtors until the system told him. A half-truth. The system doesn't react. Apparently, a half-truth is acceptable. Itsuki is silent. Then he asks why Jisoo needs this. Jisoo says he's a pretty good writer in English. His mother made him take extra lessons because she wanted him to get into college. And if Itsuki wants, Jisoo can help with the essay's structure. Itsuki stares at him for a long time. His face is working overtime. Jisoo sees the thoughts flashing through his mind. Suspicion, confusion, shame, and finally a small, desperate hope. Itsuki says that if Tanaka finds out, it'll be bad. Jisoo says Tanaka doesn't have to know. Itsuki says okay. After school, the library, 3rd floor. No one ever goes there. Jisoo nods. Itsuki walks away quickly, finishes his tea on the go. The system notifies him. First contact with the opposing camp. Intriguing. Long break. Cafeteria. There are now 4 people at Jisoo's table. Somi, Liz, and a new face. A guy from a parallel class named Kento Wada. Quiet, glasses, reading manga under the table. He joined them yesterday because Somi invited him after he tried onigiri on Friday. Liz talks about Oregon, about the rain that falls 9 months a year, about how she misses the pancakes her grandmother used to make. Not Japanese pancakes, American ones, thick ones, with maple syrup and butter. Jisoo listens and takes it all in. Thick pancakes, maple syrup, butter. He mentally runs through the recipe. Flour, eggs, milk, baking, a little sugar. You can't find maple syrup in regular Japanese stores, but honey will do. Or you could make caramel syrup, brown sugar, and water. It's not the same, but close. Liz notices that Jisoo is deep in thought. She asks what he's thinking about. Jisoo says he's thinking. Liz says she sees. About what? Jisoo says about the pancakes. Liz opens her mouth. She closes it. She looks at Somi. Somi shrugs. Liz turns back to Jisoo and says he's the strangest person she's ever met, and that it's a compliment. After school, the library, 3rd floor, just as agreed. Itsuki is already there, sitting at the far table, nervous, glancing around every 30 seconds. Jisoo sits across from him. Itsuki takes out his laptop, opens a document. It's blank, just the title and nothing else. The essay topic, The Importance of Communication in Modern Society, 2,000 words. Itsuki says he doesn't know where to start, that English is like a 3rd language to him, that he understands the grammar but can't construct long sentences, that the words are in his head but won't come out onto paper. Jisoo listens. Then he says we won't start with English. We'll start with an idea, what Itsuki thinks about communication. Not in English, in Japanese, just a thought.
Itsuki is silent. Then he says that communication is complicated. That sometimes you want to say one thing, but say another because you're afraid. Jisoo waits. Itsuki continues. He says that, for example, he knows Tanaka is going too far. He's known for a long time, but he stays silent because if he speaks up, he'll be left alone. And being alone is scarier than being wrong. Itsuki falls silent. He looks at Jisoo. He realizes he just said that out loud, for the first time, to the person his group has been bullying for 3 years. The system displays a line. He's scared by what he said, but he feels relieved, as if he'd taken off a heavy backpack. Jisoo says this is a good start for an essay, that communication isn't just about speaking, but also about silence, and that silence is also a form of communication, only usually the wrong one. Itsuki looks at him, then he starts typing. They work together for 2 hours. Jisoo doesn't write for him, he helps construct sentences, translate thoughts into words, Japanese thoughts into English words. By 6 in the evening, Itsuki has an 800-word draft, not 2,000, but a start. Itsuki says he'll come back tomorrow. Jisoo says okay. On his way out of the library, Itsuki stops. Without turning around, he says he's sorry for what happened, that he never hit anyone or filmed it on his phone, but he stood by and watched, and that counts too. Jisoo looks at his back. He says he knows. Itsuki leaves. The system displays a message. Task in progress, 40% complete. But more important than the mission is what just happened. For the first time in his life, Itsuki Ken apologized to someone he had hurt. Social score, 2.6. Jisoo leaves school. No one is at the gate. The man in the gray coat hasn't shown up since Friday. Maybe he left. Maybe he's waiting. The system is silent. At home, Jisoo cooks and thinks. He thinks about what Itsuki said. Being alone is worse than being wrong. 3 years ago, Jisoo was alone too, but he didn't choose it. Itsuki chose to be wrong so he wouldn't be alone. Different kinds of cowardice, or different kinds of fear. Jisoo isn't sure he has the right to judge. He cuts an onion and cries. From the onion. Only from the onion. Wednesday. Jisoo opens his eyes and sees a message from the system right on the ceiling. Emergency update. A video has been posted in the school chat. Content. A montage of old clips featuring you. Caption. A reminder of who he really is. Author. ACCUNT without an avatar. Reposts. 47. Jisoo lies motionless. Old clips. He knows which ones. They've piled up over 3 years. A ball to the face in gym class. Notebooks in the trash can. Juice spilled on his uniform. Head in the sink. All filmed on phones. All posted in private chats and groups. Now someone has put together a montage. 47 reposts overnight. By morning there will be 100. Jisoo gets up, brushes his teeth, looks in the mirror. The same Jisoo, the same eyes. 2 weeks ago he wouldn't have gone to school. He would have told his mother his stomach hurt. He would have lain on the futon and waited for the day to end, for the week to end, for life to end. Today he brushes his teeth and thinks about the 4 containers in his backpack and that Yuna is waiting for her breakfast. He leaves the house, walks down the street, back straight. Not because he's brave, because if he slumps now, it'll be 10 times harder to straighten up. At the school gates, stares, more than usual, different ones. Not curiosity, not interest. Pity, awkwardness, a smirk on someone's face. The system displays lines. Saw the video. Ashamed of those who filmed it. Saw the video. Funny. I saw the video. I want to go over, but I'm afraid of what people will think. Jisoo walks by. He goes into the school. The hallway, 1st floor. A group of students by the wall. They're looking at a phone. One of them looks up. He sees Jisoo. He quickly puts his phone away. Jisoo walks past. His face doesn't change.
Inside, everything clinches into a fist, but his face doesn't change. 3 years have taught him that, not to show it. He walks into the classroom. He places the lunchbox on Yuna's desk. Yuna is already there, earlier than usual. She's sitting at her desk looking at Jisoo. Her eyes are red. She saw the video. Jisoo sets down the container and speaks as usual. Nothing, in silence. But Yuna says his name, quietly. He stops. She says it's disgusting, that she didn't know, that she sat in this class for 3 years and didn't see it, that she's the class representative and should have. The system displays a line. She's angry at herself, not at Tanaka, at herself. She feels she's no better than those who stood by and said nothing. Jisoo says it's not her fault, that he didn't want anyone to see, that he tried to be inconspicuous, and that it worked. Yuna looks at him. Her lips are pressed together. She wants to say something else, but the bell rings. Jisoo walks to her desk. She sits down. The classroom fills up. Tanaka enters. Kenji enters. Tanaka walks past Jisoo's desk. He slows down, leans in, whispers that he hopes Jisoo liked the movie, and winks. Jisoo stares straight ahead. She doesn't react. Tanaka walks on. The system displays a line. Satisfied. He thinks he's regained control. He doesn't realize he's only made things worse for himself. First period. Literature. Emma enters the classroom. Her face is tense. She saw it too. She begins the lesson, opens the textbook, says that today they will discuss the theme of trauma in Japanese literature. The whole class freezes. Emma speaks in an even voice, about how literature has always been a space where the victim finds a voice, about how Dazai wrote about pain not because he wanted pity, but because silence kills faster than words, about how everyone in this class knows what silence is, and that there are 2 kinds of silence: the silence of the one who endures, and the silence of the one who sees and does not intervene. The class sits in silence. Tanaka looks out the window. Kenji looks at his desk. Itsuki looks at Jisoo. A quick glance, a second. Emma doesn't name names. She doesn't point fingers. She talks about literature, only literature. But everyone in this class understands. The system displays a line above Emma. She knows she's taking a risk. The principal will find out. She'll get a reprimand. But she can't stay silent anymore. After class, Emma stops Jisoo. The others leave. She closes the door. She says she saw the video, that she wrote a letter to the principal, that she's not sure if it will help, but that she did it. Jisoo nods. He wants to say thank you, but the words get stuck. Instead, he says the bento is on her desk. Emma looks at the desk, a container, just like every day. She opens the lid. Today, there are onigiri and a small container of warm tamago toji, that very dish of poverty that he makes for himself and his mother. Simple, honest. Emma says it looks delicious. Jisoo leaves. Somi is waiting for him in the hallway. She's standing against the wall with her fists clenched. Her face is red. She says she saw the video, that she found the account that posted it and that it's a fake account created 3 days ago, that she wrote to the school chat admins demanding it be deleted, that they replied that the content doesn't violate the rules. Somi says it's unfair, that the rules protect those who attack, not those who are attacked, that she wants to find whoever did this and... She doesn't finish her sentence. Jisoo says not to, that it won't help, that whoever posted it wants exactly that, reactions, a scandal, attention. The best thing to do is not give him what he wants. Somi looks at him. The system displays a line. Impressed. Angry. Impressed by how calm he is. Angry because he shouldn't be calm, he should be furious. But he's calm because he's used to it. And that's the worst part. Big break. Cooking club. Liz is already inside. She saw the video. Her reaction is different. American. Direct. She says that in the States, they'd sue over something like this, that it's harassment, that she has an acquaintance at a Tokyo law firm, a friend's mother, that if needed, she can help,
Jisoo says thank you, but not now. Liz looks at him for a long time. Then she says okay, but if he changes his mind. She doesn't finish the sentence. Instead, she pulls a bag of flour out of her backpack, 2 kilograms. She says it's for the club and that Somi asked for it. They're cooking. Today, Jisoo is teaching them how to make gyoza. Dough, flour, and water, a 2-to-1 ratio. Knead until smooth, let it rest for 20 minutes. While the dough is resting, they make the filling: cabbage, finely chopped, pork, ginger, garlic, sesame oil, mix everything together. All by hand. Hands are a chef's most precise tool, better than any spatula. Liz kneads the filling with an expression of complete concentration. Somi rolls out the dough. Kenta's father has come to help, silently. He stood nearby and began cutting the cabbage. 4 people in the small kitchen of the cooking club. 4 people who 2 weeks ago had no idea they'd be here. Jisoo demonstrates how to shape them. A circle of dough in the palm of your hand, filling in the center, a teaspoon, no more. If you put too much, the gyoza will burst when fried. Bring the edges together, pinch them, make folds, 5 folds on each. Liz makes 3 gyoza. The first one looks like a pillow, the second like a star, the third is almost right. She says it's an art. Jisoo says it's practice. 300 gyoza and it'll be perfect. Liz says that's a lot. Jisoo says his father used to make 500 in an evening when the restaurant was full. He falls silent. Father, restaurant. He rarely talks about it. Liz notices the pause. She doesn't ask, she just keeps shaping them. The system is silent. They fry the gyoza, oil in the pan, gyoza in a row, water on the bottom, lid on, 3 minutes, steam. Remove the lid, another minute on high heat. The crust, golden, crispy. The smell fills the entire 3rd floor. People approach the club's door. 2 students from the neighboring classroom. They peek in. They ask what the smell is. Somi proudly says it's gyoza, the cooking club. Welcome. The students take 1 each. They chew. One says it's better than at a restaurant. Somi beams. Liz gives a thumbs up. Jisoo stands at the stove and thinks that 2 weeks ago his existence was a video for people to mock, and today people are standing in the doorway for his gyoza. That doesn't mean the video is gone. It's still in the chat, it's still racking up views. But next to that video, there's a smell now. The smell of oil and dough and filling, and this smell is stronger. After class, Jisoo goes to the library, 3rd floor. Itsuki is already waiting. Second day working on the essay, 1,400 words. Itsuki is writing about communication, about silence, about how a group can make a person forget their own opinion. He writes in English with mistakes, and Jisoo helps him correct them. But Itsuki's thoughts are powerful, honest, painful. Itsuki says Tanaka will find out, sooner or later. Jisoo asks what will happen then. Itsuki thinks, then says he doesn't know, but that he'll finish the essay anyway. The system displays a line. He has made a decision. He doesn't yet understand what it means, but he has made it. Social rating, 2.9. Jisoo leaves school. A man in a gray coat is standing across the street. Not by the school, across the street, by the coffee shop, with a paper cup in his hand. He's looking at Jisoo, openly, not hiding behind a newspaper, just standing there and watching. The system reacts instantly. Object in the mirror zone, scanning. A line above the man, knows more than he shows. Not an enemy, not a friend, an observer, connected to the system's origins, waiting. Jisoo stands on the sidewalk and looks at the man across the street. The man tilts his head slightly, as a greeting. Then he finishes his coffee, throws the cup in the trash, and walks away, without looking back, calmly, like a man who has done what he came to do. Jisoo stands there for another minute. His heart is pounding, connected to the system's origins. So someone knows. Someone knows that Jisoo has the system. Someone is watching. Someone is waiting. He walks home at a brisk pace. He doesn't look back. Almost. Thursday, the 11th day. Jisoo wakes up with a feeling that something is going to happen today. It wasn't the system that told him, just a feeling. 3 years of studying micro-expressions and body language have taught him to read the atmosphere. And yesterday left too many loose ends. The video in the chat, Emma and her statement, the man in the gray coat, Tanaka winking, Itsuki writing an essay on silence. Too many threads are stretched at once. Something will snap today. He prepares the containers, 5 of them. Yuna, Somi, Emma, Aunt Marita, the 5th. He stands there with the empty 5th container and thinks. Then he decides. Hyun. He doesn't know what she likes, doesn't know what she needs, but he knows that she gets tired after practice and that her shoulder still hurts even though it's getting better. He makes something simple, chicken broth. He cooks it the night before, strains it in the morning, pours it into a thermos. Along with the broth, a small container of rice and umeboshi, light, warm, nourishing. School. Containers along the route. Yuna, Somi, Emma, Aunt Marita. He carries the last one to the swimming building. Practice on Thursday mornings. He knows the schedule. He places the container and thermos by the locker room door. There's a sticker on the lid, small, white, 1 word on it. Eat. No name. But Hyun recognizes it. The same thermos. The same faceless care. He leaves. The system dispatches. The task of the day. Find out what really happened to the literature classroom. Not the window. The classroom. Jisoo stops in the hallway. The literature classroom. What's wrong with it besides the broken window? The system doesn't specify. First period. Math. Everything is as usual. But during the second break, Jisoo goes to the literature classroom. It's empty. Emma is in another class. He walks in, looks around. Desks, the blackboard, bookshelves. The window is new. The glass has been replaced. He looks more closely. The bookshelves. They used to be full. He remembers. At the beginning of the year, the shelves were crammed with books. Japanese literature, world classics in translation, poetry. Now the shelves are half empty. The books have disappeared. Not all of them, but many. He looks at Emma's desk. In the corner of the desk is a stack of papers, a sheet on top. He doesn't read other people's documents, but he can see the title. Notice of Budget Cuts for the Department of Literature, signed by the director. Jisoo leaves. The system confirms it. The literature department's budget has been cut by 60% this semester. The books that disappeared were written off and disposed of. The decision was made following Emma's report of bullying 3 years ago. Not a direct punishment, an indirect one, a slow one. The director didn't fire her. He did something worse. He took her tools away. He took the books away from the children to punish the teacher who dared to speak the truth. Jisoo stands in the hallway and feels something hot rising in her chest. Not anger, something deeper. Understanding. The realization that the system he lives in isn't just unfair, it's designed to be unfair. Every piece fits into place. The principal protects the sponsors protect their children. The children do whatever they want. And those who try to change it lose their books. And their voice. And their sleep at night. A big change. Jisoo doesn't go to the cafeteria. He goes to the cooking club. Somi and Liz are already there. Wada Kenta too. And one more new face. A girl from first grade named Noda Miku. She came after Gyoza. She wants to learn how to cook. Jisoo looks at them. 5 people in a small room with 1 oven and 2 stoves. 5 people who came here not because they were forced to. He says he has an idea, that the literature room is short on books, that the budget has been cut, that Emma-sensei can't buy new ones because a teacher's salary in Japan doesn't allow her to build a library out of her own pocket. Somi asks what they can do. Jisoo says he has a plan.
The school festival is in 3 weeks. The cooking club could set up a food stand, not for free, for a fee. All the money goes toward books for the literature room. Liz says it's a great idea. Somi says they aren't good enough at cooking yet to sell food. Jisoo says 3 weeks is enough time. He'll teach them. Liz asks what they'll cook. Jisoo thinks. Something simple, something that can be made in large batches, something hot, cheap, and tasty. He says one word. Soup. Potato and onion soup, just like his mom used to make. Simple. 3 ingredients. Potatoes, onions, water, salt, oil. Okay, 4 ingredients. 5. But simple. Anyone can make it, if they know how. Somi jots it down in her notebook. Liz raises her hand and says she'll take care of marketing. Kenta says he can make a poster. Miku quietly says she can draw. Jisoo looks at them, and the system outputs social rating 3.1, category updated. Noticed changed to significant. Significant. Jisoo repeats the word. 2 weeks ago, he was invisible. A week ago, noticed. Today, significant. Not because he became stronger or more handsome or richer, because he started doing what he's good at, for those who need it. After class, Jisoo goes to the library. Itsuki, Day 3. A 1,800-word essay, almost done. Itsuki writes the conclusion, about how real communication begins when you say what you think, not what's expected of you.
Jisoo reads it and says it's powerful. Itsuki says he doesn't know how it turned out that way, that he started writing about silence but ended up writing about himself. They finish. Itsuki saves the file. 2,100 words, 100 more than needed. He says he'll cut it down at home. Jisoo says not to, that 100 extra words are better than a single lost thought. Itsuki nods. Tanaka is waiting for them at the library exit. He's standing in the hallway. His arms are crossed. His face is stony. Kenji is beside him. Tanaka looks at Itsuki, then at Jisoo, then back at Itsuki. He says, "Interesting." Itsuki and the ghost. In the library. Together. Itsuki turns pale. His mouth opens and closes. Tanaka steps closer. He says he didn't expect this from Itsuki, that he thought Itsuki was on his side.
But it turns out he's been going behind his back to the enemy. The system displays lines of text. Tanaka. He feels betrayed. He doesn't understand why it hurts so much. In reality, he's afraid of being left alone. Itsuki. Paralyzed by fear. He wants to run away. He wants to stay. He can't decide. Kenji. Uncomfortable. He doesn't want to be here, but leaving means becoming the next Itsuki. Silence. Long. Heavy. Itsuki opens his mouth. His voice trembles, but the words come out. He says that Jisoo helped him with his essay, that he's failing English. That's all. Tanaka says he could have asked him, or Kenji, or anyone, but no, he went to the ghost. Itsuki straightens up, a small movement, almost imperceptible, but Jisoo sees it. Itsuki says that Jisoo explains things well, and that he isn't a ghost, he has a name. Silence. Absolute. Tanaka looks at Itsuki as if he'd started speaking another language. Kenji takes a step back. Jisoo stands there, silent. This isn't his fight. It's Itsuki's fight. The system displays a line above Tanaka. The world is crumbling. One of his own has just sided with the outsider. He doesn't know what to do. He wants to strike. He can't, because striking Itsuki means admitting he's afraid. Tanaka turns away. He leaves. Kenji follows him, quickly, without looking back. Itsuki stands in the hallway. His hands are shaking. He turns to Jisoo and says he feels like he just lost his friends. Jisoo says friends aren't a threat. Itsuki is silent. Then he nods. They leave school together for the first time. They walk in silence. They part ways at the gate. Itsuki to the left, Jisoo to the right. Itsuki says, "See you tomorrow." Simply, just like friends. Jisoo says,
See you tomorrow. The system reports, Itsuki's assignment is complete. 100% progress. But this isn't the end. This is the beginning. Tanaka now knows his circle is cracking. He'll react. Be ready. Social score, 3.4. Jisoo walks home and thinks about how 3 weeks ago the word friend didn't exist in his vocabulary, and that today someone said, "See you tomorrow" to him, and that meant more than any number on the system's screen. Friday, the end of the second week. Jisoo walks into school and sees a notice on the bulletin board by the main entrance. The Rating Festival, in 4 weeks. Class registration is open. Big red letters, a gold frame, as if it were a holiday. Jisoo stops in front of the board. The Ranking Festival, Seirin's annual event. Anonymous voting. Best male student, best female student, best male athlete, best class. The results determine the hierarchy for the entire coming year. Who's at the top? Who's at the bottom? Who's in the middle? Who's nobody? Last year, Tanaka was first among the boys. Hyun was first among the girls. Jisoo didn't vote. No one would have noticed his vote anyway. The system kicks in. Information. The Ranking Festival. Founded 12 years ago by Principal Kawamura. Official goal? Developing leadership skills. Real goal? Solidifying the hierarchy, maintaining control through competition. The system recommends: observe. Just observe for now. Jisoo is heading to class. Yoon's container, next on the route. Somi. Emma. Aunt Morita. Hyun. 5 stops, 5 containers, 5 minutes each. He has become a care machine running on a schedule. First period. The class is buzzing about the festival. Everyone is discussing it. Who will win? Who will lose? Who will get the votes? Tanaka sits in his seat and accepts compliments. His confidence has returned. After yesterday's clash with Itsuki, he looks even more confident, as if the loss of one soldier has forced him to strengthen his remaining positions. The system displays a line. Compensates. He's afraid but hides his fear behind his loud voice. He's decided that the festival will put everything back in its place. If he wins, then Itsuki doesn't matter.
Next to Tanaka is Kenji. Loyal, silent. The line above him. Glad that Itsuki is gone. Now he's second, closer to Tanaka. Safer. Jisoo turns away. During recess, Itsuki finds him, in the hallway, alone, without the group. The first day of his life when he walks through school alone. He looks lost, like someone who left home and forgot where he was going. Itsuki says he turned in his essay, that Emma-sensei read it in front of him, that she was silent for a long time and then said it was the best essay in the class, that she gave it the highest grade. Itsuki says this and his voice trembles, not from fear, from something else. He says he's never gotten a perfect score in any subject before. The system displays a line. He can't believe it. He thinks it's a mistake. He waits for them to say it was a joke. Jisoo says it's not a mistake, that the essay was genuine, and that what's genuine always gets the highest grade, even if the world tries to convince you otherwise. Itsuki nods, quickly, several times. Turns away and leaves, quickly. Jisoo thinks Itsuki turned away so as not to show his face. The system confirms it. He's crying, for the first time in a long time, over something good. Big break, cooking club. Everyone's here. Somi, Liz, Kenta, Miku, and Itsuki, who's standing in the doorway, not knowing what to do with his hands. Jisoo looks at him. Itsuki says he wants to help with the festival, with the soup, with anything. He doesn't know how to cook, but he can chop, wash, and carry things. Somi says that chopping onions is the most important thing, that without onions there's no soup. Itsuki says he can handle it. 6 people. Jisoo assigns tasks. Kenta makes a poster. Miku draws the logo. Somi and Liz learn how to make soup. Itsuki chops onions for a test batch. Jisoo stands at the stove and demonstrates. Chop the onions finely, finer, even finer, until they're almost transparent. Then into the oil, low heat, not medium, not high,
Low. The onions should turn golden. Not brown. Golden. This takes 20 minutes. 20 minutes of patience. Most people can't stand it and turn up the heat, and end up with burnt onions, which taste bitter, which ruin the soup. Patience. 20 minutes. Golden onions. Then potatoes, diced, 3 centimeters, just like my father taught me. Water, salt. Cook until the potatoes start to fall apart, not before. When they fall apart, it means they've given everything. Starch, flavor, texture. The soup thickens without a single gram of flour, just potatoes and thyme. A test batch is ready in 40 minutes. 6 bowls, 6 people. Everyone tastes it. Liz says it's the best thing she's eaten since leaving home. Somi says it's like a hug in the form of soup. Kenta silently takes seconds. Miku says quietly that she wants to learn how to make the same thing for her younger sister. Itsuki eats and says nothing. The system displays a line. He can't remember the last time he ate something cooked for him rather than bought at the cafeteria. Jisoo stands and watches the 6 people eating his soup, his mother's recipe, his father's technique, his hands. 3 points intersect in a single bowl. The system outputs. Social rating, 3.7. After class, Jisoo packs his backpack. Hyun is standing by the classroom door. She's waiting for him. It's obvious. She's standing so he can't walk past without noticing her. She's standing up straight, chin slightly up, the posture of someone about to do something out of the ordinary and preparing for it as if for a leap into water. She says the broth was good, that her shoulder really is better, that she told the coach, that the coach gave her a lighter training schedule until the tryouts, that it's all because of that thermos of ginger tea a week ago. Jisoo listens. Hyun continues. She says she saw the video, that video, the edited one, that she felt sick, not physically, inside. That she sat 2 rows away from him for a whole year and didn't notice. That she saw Tanaka every day and didn't notice what he was doing. Or maybe she noticed but didn't want to see, because seeing means taking responsibility, and she didn't want to carry anything but her medals. Hyun falls silent. Her hands are clenched at her sides. The system displays a line. She feels ashamed. She's angry. She wants to do something but doesn't know what. She's used to others making decisions for her. For the first time, she's trying to decide for herself. Jisoo looks at her. He doesn't say anything comforting. He doesn't say that everything's fine and that it's not her fault, because that would be a lie. She could have noticed. She didn't notice. That's a fact. But a fact isn't a verdict. He says she noticed now, and that now counts too. Hyun looks at him for a long time. Then she nods. Once. Sharply. Like an athlete. She turns around and walks away. She stops at the door. Without turning around, she says she wants to come to the cooking club. On Monday, if possible. Jisoo says it's possible. Hyun leaves. The system displays Kim Hyun. Task updated. 70% complete. She has started to see, but she hasn't started to act yet. Jisoo leaves school. Somi is standing at the gate. She's waiting for him. She says she wants to show him something. She pulls out her phone. The school chat is on the screen. A new post. Not from Tanaka, from an anonymous account. The very one that defended Jisoo the first time. The post is long. It describes how the rating festival works, how votes are counted, how the results affect class funding, how the winning classes get a bigger budget for events while the losers lose out, how it's a system that rewards the popular and punishes the rest. Under the post, there are 63 comments. Half agree, a quarter disagree, a quarter ask who the author is. Somi says this is important, that someone at school sees the same thing Jisoo sees, that the rating festival isn't a celebration but a tool of control. Jisoo reads the post and wonders who wrote it. The system is silent. Some things remain unknown. He walks home. On the way, he thinks about the 4 weeks until the festival, about the 3 weeks until the school festival with soup, about the 6 people in the cooking club, about Hyun, who will come on Monday, about Yoon, who eats his bento every day and says nothing, about his mother who comes home late and eats his food and sometimes says his name in the dark, about the man in the gray coat who knows about the system, about the principal who takes books away from the children, about Tanaka who loses his soldiers and doesn't understand why. He comes home. He cooks for his mother, for tomorrow's lunch boxes, for Liz who misses her grandmother's pancakes. He takes out the flour, eggs, milk, baking powder. No maple syrup. He makes caramel instead. Brown sugar. Water. Low heat. Like with onions. Patience. The pancakes turn out thick, fluffy, American style. Not perfect, but real. He stacks 3 of them in a container. A small jar of caramel syrup on the side. For Liz. For the girl from Oregon who came to the other side of the world to stop feeling like a stranger and found a guy who cooks her food that reminds her of home. The system flickers quietly. Results for the 2nd week. Tasks completed. 8. People fed. 23. People in the inner circle. 6. Social rating 3.7. Category significant. Days since activation 12. In 4 weeks, the rating festival. In 3 weeks, the school festival. It's all beginning. Jisoo goes to bed, silence behind the wall. His mother hasn't come home yet. He lies in the dark and thinks that 12 days ago his life was an empty room. And now there's a table in that room. And there are people at the table. And there's food on the table. And this is just the beginning. Monday, 3rd week. Jisoo walks into the cooking club and sees 7 people. Somi, Liz, Kenta, Miku, Itsuki, and Hyun, who is standing by the door in a sports jacket, with her hair wet from morning practice, looking at everyone as if she's walked into the wrong room. Next to her is a girl Jisoo doesn't know, small, quiet, hiding behind Hyun as if she were a wall. Hyun says this is Nagai Rin, from her swim team, a freshman, that Rin wants to help too. Rin bows, deeply, silently. The system displays a line. She came because Hyun asked her to. She's afraid of everything, but she trusts Hyun more than she trusts her own fear. 8 people. Jisoo stands before them and thinks that 3 weeks ago he was eating alone in the cafeteria. And now he has a team of 8 people, and he has to organize their work for the school festival. He doesn't know how to lead. He knows how to cook. Those are different things. The system displays today's task. Teach each person to make 1 dish perfectly. Not 3, not 5, 1. Jisoo nods to himself. 1 dish for each person. Specialization, just like in a real restaurant. His father used to say that great cuisine isn't about a single genius, but a team where everyone does their part flawlessly. He assigns the tasks. Somi, soup. She'll make potato and onion soup. She already knows the basics. It needs to become second nature. Liz, onigiri. She's learned how to shape them. Now she needs to learn how to make 100 an hour. Not 20, 100. Kenta, chopping. He'll cut all the vegetables for everyone. Onions, potatoes, carrots, cabbage. Quickly, evenly, consistently. Miku, serving. Plates, portions, cleanliness. She's neat. She'll manage. Itsuki, heat, stoves, temperature. He'll make sure nothing burns or gets cold. Hyun, logistics, food calculations, purchasing, budget. She's the team captain. She knows how to calculate and plan. Rin, help wherever needed. Pass it, bring it, clear it away, wash it. The little jobs that hold everything together. He explains it to each person individually, not in front of everyone, one-on-one, because people listen better when they aren't being judged by others. He teaches Somi patience, 20 minutes for the onions, not a second less. She's impatient. She wants it faster. He says the soup isn't in a hurry, and neither should she. He teaches Liz rhythm. Onigiri isn't a sculpture, it's an assembly line. Rice, salt, filling, shape, next. Don't think, your hands know. Trust your hands. He shows Kenta how to hold the knife. Not from above, from the side. Fingers bent. Knuckles guide the blade. It's faster and safer that way. Kenta is quiet. He doesn't ask questions, he just cuts. And 10 minutes later, he's cutting correctly. It's harder with Hyun. She's used to being the star. She's used to her role being the most prominent.
But he gives her a table in a notebook and tells her to calculate how many potatoes are needed for 200 servings of soup. Hyun looks at him. There's a question in her eyes. She's a swimming champion, the face of advertising campaigns, and he's asking her to count potatoes. The system displays a line. She's annoyed, but she understands why. She's used to being given the glamorous stuff. For the first time, she's been given what's needed. Hyun takes the notebook and starts counting, silently, without complaint. An hour later, a test batch, 20 servings of soup, 30 onigiri. Everything done by the team. Jisoo just watched and made corrections. Somi's soup is slightly too salty. Liz's onigiri are a bit crumbly. Kenta's cuts are a bit uneven. But this is the first attempt, and it works. 8 people ate together in a small office on the 3rd floor. 8 plates, 8 spoons, 1 table. No hierarchy, no rankings, just food and people. Jisoo watches this, and the system sends a quiet message. This is the goal. Remember this feeling. After lunch, Jisoo goes to the literature classroom. Emma is sitting at the desk. In front of her is a summons to the principal, a piece of paper, an official one. Tomorrow at 10 in the morning, regarding the bullying report and the lesson on witness silence. The system displays a line. She's afraid, not for herself, for the students who started speaking up. If they get rid of her, who will listen? Jisoo sets down her lunchbox. There are no onigiri today. Today it's tamago sando, an egg sandwich, soft bread, egg salad with mayonnaise and a pinch of mustard. Simple, comforting. Food that tells you everything will be okay even when you're not sure. Emma looks at the lunchbox, then at Jisoo. She says he'll be called in too, as a witness to the complaint, that the principal will require confirmation, that if Jisoo confirms it, he'll become an official party to the conflict. That this could have consequences. Jisoo says he'll come. Emma says he doesn't have to. Jisoo says he knows, and that he'll come. Emma takes off her glasses and wipes them, for a long time, thoroughly, as if the answer to the question she's afraid to ask is hidden in the cleanliness of the lenses. She says thank you, quietly, like people who have forgotten how to accept help. Jisoo leaves. Evening, at home. He cooks and thinks. Tomorrow, the principal. Tomorrow, it's official. For 3 years, he was invisible, and that was his protection. Now, he's being seen. Invisibility isn't just light, it's also a target. The phone vibrates. A message from Yuna. The first one ever. She never texted. She stayed silent. She left empty containers on the desk. She'd look for a second and then look away. Today, she texted. I know about tomorrow, Emma-sensei told me as class president. I'll be there too. I've prepared a document with dates and facts from the past 2 years. Everything I saw and didn't say. Jisoo looks at the screen. 2 years. Yuna saw 2 years, not 3. She started school a year later, but for 2 years she saw and kept quiet. And now she's put together a document, with dates, with facts. He replies, thanks, and adds, there will be curry in the lunchbox tomorrow. You need energy. Yuna replies a minute later, okay, and 1 emoji, a little sun. Jisoo looks at the sun on his phone screen and thinks that this is the first emoji he's received from Yuna, and that after 2 years of silence, that little sun weighs more than 1,000 words. Tuesday, 10 in the morning, Principal Kawamura's office. A heavy door, the smell of wood polish, diplomas and photos with board members on the wall. The principal sits at a desk, large, gray-haired. the face of a man accustomed to being listened to without interruption. Next to him is Vice Principal Yamaguchi, a petite woman with a notebook. She writes down every word. On the chairs in front of the desk, Emma, Jisoo, and Yuna. 3 chairs, 3 people, facing the wall with the diplomas. The system displays a line above the principal. He is annoyed. He considers this a waste of time. He wants to wrap this up quickly, quietly, without consequences. Above the vice principal, he's nervous. He knows the principal is wrong. He's afraid to say so. Above Emma, her hands are cold, her heart is racing, but her voice will be steady. She's been preparing all night. The principal begins. He says he received a report from teacher Tsuki regarding the systematic bullying of a student, that he takes this seriously, that Seirin High does not tolerate bullying. His voice is steady and formal. Every word has been rehearsed. The system displays a line. He's lying. He's known about the bullying for 3 years. He received complaints twice. Both were lost. Emma speaks, in an even voice, just as she planned. She describes the past 3 years, specifically, without emotion. Names, dates, incidents. Head in the sink 12 times. Textbooks in the trash 7 times. Videos taken without consent at least 4 times. Physical contact. Shoves in the hallway. A hand on her shoulder, pressing down. A ball thrown at her face during gym class, twice. The principal listens. His expression doesn't change. When Emma finishes, he says these are serious allegations and that evidence is needed. Yuna opens a folder, 5 pages, typed. Dates, descriptions, witness names. 2 years of observations by the class president who saw and kept quiet and took notes. Because somewhere deep down she knew that one day this would be needed. Yuna places the folder on the desk. Her hands aren't shaking. The system shows a line. She endures. She holds on. If she cries now, the principal won't take it seriously. She knows this. She hates that she knows this. The principal takes the folder. He flips through it. His eyes dart across the lines. He sets the folder aside and says he thanks her for her diligence, that he'll look into it, that he'll take action. Jisoo listens, and the system displays a line. He has no intention of taking action. He plans to talk to Tanaka's father, privately, as a friend, to sweep it under the rug, as always. Jisoo opens his mouth. For the first time in the entire meeting, he says he wants to add something. The principal looks at him, surprised, as if he'd forgotten that Jisoo was there, that Jisoo could even speak. Jisoo says that the video from the school chat has gotten over 200 views, that students from other schools have seen it, that if the school doesn't respond officially, the students will start posting on social media. Not him, others. Those who are already commenting in the chat. Those who see what's happening. And that it's one thing when the problem is within the school. It's another thing when the problem is on the internet, with the school's name, with the sponsors' names. The principal looks at Jisoo. His face changes. A small movement. His jaw tightens slightly. His eyes narrow slightly. He understands. Not a threat. Jisoo isn't threatening him. He's describing reality. A reality in which 200 people have seen the video, and in which an anonymous author in the chat has already figured out the system of the rating festival. A reality in which silence is no longer an option. The system displays a line. It weighs the risks. Sponsors or reputation. Tanaka's father or the internet. It calculates. The principal says he will conduct a disciplinary investigation. That Ryo Tanaka will be summoned before a committee. That until the investigation is complete, the video must be removed from the school chat. That he will personally see to it. Emma looks at Jisoo, briefly, quickly. In her gaze is something the system doesn't show because it's visible even without it. Gratitude. They leave the office, the hallway. Silence. Yuna leans against the wall, exhales. Her hands are finally trembling. Now it's okay. Emma stands up straight. Her eyes are moist, but she's smiling,
a small smile, the first one in a long time on this floor. She says that Jisoo was wonderful, that she didn't expect it. Jisoo says he just told the truth. Emma says that telling the truth in the principal's office is the bravest thing anyone can do. Yuna lifts her head. She looks at Jisoo. She says the curry was delicious today. And she leaves, quickly. Down the hallway, her heels click evenly, her back is straight. Yuna is one of those people who only cries when she's alone. The system outputs. Social rating 4.0, event recorded. The school's first official response to bullying in 3 years. Not the end, but the beginning. The rest of the day passes in a strange tension. The news spreads. Tanaka was called to the principal's office after lunch. He was seen in the hallway with a red face. Kenji walked beside him, silent. The system shows a line above Tanaka from a distance. Angry. Scared. His father will find out. His father will be furious. Not because his son bullied someone, because he got caught. Jisoo doesn't approach. He doesn't look. He walks past. This isn't his victory. These are the consequences. The victory came earlier, when he decided to come, when Yuna opened the folder, when Emma spoke in an even voice even though her hands were cold. After school, the cooking club, practicing for the festival. Soup number 5. Every day they make soup, and every day Jisoo finds something to fix. Salt, timing, chopping, temperature. But today the soup turned out right, for the first time, without a single criticism. Somi cooked, Kenta chopped, Itsuki watched the stove, Liz made onigiri nearby. Hayun counted the portions, Miku served it onto plates, Rin washed the dishes. Jisoo stood to the side and watched. He didn't interfere, he didn't correct them. They managed on their own. 8 plates, 8 people. The soup is perfect. Hot, thick. The potatoes are cooked just right. The onions are golden. The salt is just right. Somi turns to Jisoo, waiting for his verdict. He tastes it, a spoonful, a second. He sets down the bowl. He says one word. Done. Somi jumps up and down. Liz claps. Kenta smiles quietly. Miku blushes. Itsuki nods. Hayun looks at Jisoo and smiles for a split second. Not a polite smile, not a promotional one. A real one. Small, quick, but real. Rin stands with a towel in her hands and smiles too. The system displays the results. The team is ready. The festival is in 2 weeks. You've built something you couldn't have imagined 20 days ago. Social evaluation? 4.3. In the evening, Jisoo is walking home. A man in a gray coat is standing at the school gate. Not across the street, not on the corner. Right at the gate, facing Jisoo. The system reacts. Object in contact zone. Mirror active. Text. Came to talk. Not dangerous. Knew your father. Jisoo stops. The man stands motionless. He's about 50. His face is calm. His eyes are dark, attentive. Wrinkles around his eyes. Not from age, from having looked at people a lot. The man says Jisoo's name. Then he says he knew his father a long time ago, when the restaurant was still open. Jisoo stands there. He doesn't leave. He doesn't come closer. The man says his name is Takumi Yoshida, that he came because it's time, that the system Jisoo received wasn't a coincidence, that he went through something similar 30 years ago, that he is the one who passes on the systems to those the world has written off, and that Jisoo's father's restaurant didn't close because his father couldn't cook. The restaurant was shut down, on purpose. Jisoo stands there. His heart is beating so loudly that he's sure the man can hear it. Yoshida says he'll explain everything, but not today. Today he came to say one thing, that Jisoo should keep going, that he's on the right path, and that soon Jisoo will learn things that will change everything. About his father, about the school, about the system, about the family that destroyed his family. Yoshida falls silent. He looks at Jisoo, then he turns and walks away, slowly, calmly, like a man who has nowhere to rush because he's been waiting for this conversation for a very long time. Jisoo stands at the gate. The system is silent for a long time. Then a single line. He's telling the truth. At home, Jisoo sits on the kitchen floor with his back to the cupboard, just like that night when it all began. The rice cooker is silent, the stove is off. It's dark outside, the restaurant is closed, on purpose. The family that destroyed his family. He thinks about Ayaka, about the bag worth 100,000 yen, about the hotel chain, about the Sato surname. He doesn't know for sure, but he's starting to figure it out. 2 weeks later, school festival day, Saturday, 8 in the morning. Jisoo stands in front of the cooking club and looks at his team. 8 people in aprons. Somi ties her bandana.
Liz rolls up her sleeves. Kenta sharpens a knife. Miku sets out the plates. Itsuki checks the stoves. Hyun stands with a notebook and a pen, ready to count. Rin is carrying a sack of potatoes, 20 kilograms, heavier than she is, but she carries it. On the wall is Kenta's poster, simple, black and white. It shows a bowl of soup and some writing. For those who need warmth today, all proceeds go toward books for the literature club. Miku drew a little sun in the corner, like Yuna's emoji. A coincidence, or maybe not. Jisoo looks over the team and announces the plan for the day. 200 servings of soup, 150 onigiri. We'll work 3 shifts. The first shift from 10 to 12. Break. The second from 1 to 3. The third if there are any ingredients left. Price: 100 yen per bowl of soup, 50 for an onigiri. Cheap. Cheaper than a set meal. Because it's not about profit. It's about making sure everyone who's hungry can afford a hot meal.
Hyun says that at full capacity, they'll make 35,000 yen. That's enough for 20 books. Maybe 25 if they buy them at a used bookstore. Jisoo nods. 25 books, half of what the principal took. A start. They start cooking at 9. Kenta cuts potatoes, 20 kilograms, into cubes, 3 centimeters. His hands move with confidence. 2 weeks of practice. The knife taps against the cutting board in a steady rhythm. Somi puts a large pot on the stove. She pours in water, turns on the heat, takes the onions, 5 kilograms. She cuts them. She cries. Itsuki stands nearby and says that onions are a test of character. Somi says she hates onions, but she cuts them. Liz makes onigiri. Her hands move quickly. Rice, salt, filling, shape. Next one. She's got the hang of it. 100 in an hour, just like Jisoo said. Hyun counts. Plates, spoons, napkins, portions. Everything is written down in a notebook. Miku sets the table. Rin washes dishes.
Jisoo stands by the main pot and cooks soup. Mom's recipe, Dad's technique, golden onions, potatoes in water, salt, thyme, patience. The smell begins to drift beyond the classroom. It wafts down the hallway, down the stairs, to the first floor, to the entrance. 10 in the morning. The festival opens. The first guest arrives in 12 minutes, a first grader with a coin in his fist. He says it smells delicious. Somi pours him a plate. The boy takes a bite. His eyes widen. He runs away. 5 minutes later, he returns with 3 friends. The line grows. By 11, there are 20 people at the door. By 11:30, 30. Liz carries out the onigiri on a tray and hands them out to those waiting in line, for free, while you wait. People take them, surprised. Someone says thank you, someone says it's delicious. One guy asks who made it. Liz points to Jisoo. The guy looks. He recognizes her. He nods. The soup runs out at 12:30, half an hour ahead of schedule. Hyun counts. 87 servings for the first shift, 13,000 yen. Break. The team eats, not the soup. The soup is for the guests. They eat the onigiri that Liz made in the morning and hid, for their own. Jisoo sits on the floor with a rice ball in her hand and listens as Somi tells them that one boy asked for seconds 3 times. How Liz argued with a girl who wanted a discount. How Kenta silently placed an extra serving for the elderly teacher who peeked in from the first floor. Second shift. Another 100 servings. The line never ends. Word has spread throughout the festival. Third floor. Cooking club. Soup for 100 yen. And something else. Something that can't be described in an ad. A feeling. When you take a plate and realize that someone cooked this for you. Not for profit, not for a grade, for you. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it starts to rain. Hard, suddenly. The festival street stalls are being taken down. The visiting children run inside. Wet, frozen, hungry. The street food is canceled. Jisoo stands by the window and watches the rain. Then she looks at the remaining ingredients. Potatoes, onions, not much. Enough for 30 servings, maybe 40 if we stretch it. But there aren't 30 people outside the door. Outside the door are children, wet and hungry. He thinks for 3 seconds, then he turns to the team and says, "Let's make more. For free. We've already earned all the money. We'll give away what's left." Somi doesn't ask why. She sets out the pot. Kenta grabs a knife. Itsuki turns on the stove. Everyone moves, silently, without instructions. They know what to do. Jisoo stands by the pot and cooks, the last batch. He puts everything into it. Every movement precise. Every second measured. Onions, golden. Potatoes, diced. Water, salt. Time. The soup will be ready in 30 minutes. They carry the pot out into the first floor hallway. They set it on the table. Next to it is a stack of disposable cups. Miku has written by hand on a piece of paper. Hot soup. Free. For everyone. Children approach. Wet hair, red noses, cold hands. They take cups. They drink the soup. Hot, thick, potato and onion. Just like Jisoo's mom used to make when he was sick. Just like Jisoo's dad used to make when the restaurant was still open, and people with nowhere else to go would come to them. Jisoo stands nearby and pours, cup after cup. Somi is nearby. Liz is nearby. The whole team is nearby. 8 people who spent 3 weeks learning to make soup so they could buy books, and who are now giving away their last bit for free because the children are hungry. Half the school is watching. Teachers, students, parents who came to the festival. Aunt Marita stands in the corner and watches. Her arms are crossed. Her eyes are moist. 20 years in this kitchen. Not a single student has ever done anything like this. Emma stands by the wall. She looks at Jisoo, at the empty cups in the trash can, at the children smiling with hot soup in their hands. She presses her hand to her chest and says nothing. Yuna stands in the doorway, as always, off to the side. But she's watching and smiling. That very smile that lasts a second but weighs a lifetime. Tanaka sits on a bench at the end of the hallway, alone. Kenji went home early. Tanaka looks at Jisoo, at the line, at the soup, at the people saying thank you. The system displays a line. He doesn't understand. He can't understand why anyone would give it away for free. In his world, everything has a price. Everything. Friendship, status, food. And this guy, whom he's been dunking in the sink for 3 years, stands there pouring soup for strangers' kids simply because they're freezing. And people look at this guy the way they've never looked at Tanaka. With warmth. With real warmth. The soup runs out at 4 o'clock. The pot is empty. The cups are gone. Liz is sitting on the floor and says her legs hurt. Somi is lying on the table and says she'll never cut onions again in her life. Kenta silently stacks the dishes. Miku counts the cups. 123. 123 servings of free soup, plus 187 paid ones. A total of 310 servings for the day. Hayun counts the money. 31,200 yen. 22 books, maybe 23. She puts the money in an envelope. She writes on the envelope, "For the literature club, from the cooking club,
Jisoo stands and looks at her team. 8 people who 3 weeks ago were just maims, and today they cooked 310 bowls of soup, earned money for books, and fed children in the rain. And it all started with a bowl of kimchi bokumpap. The system reports social rating 5.2, category updated. Significant changed to irreplaceable. 310 people ate your food today, Jisoo, and every one of them will remember that taste. Not because the soup was special, but because someone thought of them. 3 weeks later, Rating Festival Day, the last day before vacation. Sarian Auditorium, 400 students, every class, noise, a buzz, tension. On stage, a screen with the festival logo, golden letters, blue background. Principal Kawamura stands at the microphone and gives the opening speech about tradition, about leadership, about how healthy competition turns children into adults. The system displays a line. He believes every word he says, and that's the problem. Jisoo sits in the hall. Somi is next to her. Liz is next to them. Behind them are Kenta, Miku, Itsuki, and Rin. Hyun is 2 rows back. Yuna is in the front row, as class president. Emma is by the wall, as an observer. Jisoo thinks about what will happen next. He's been preparing for this day for 3 weeks. Not for victory, for the act itself. The vote took place yesterday, anonymously, online. The results will be announced now. The principal calls out the categories. Best athlete, Hyun. Applause. She stands up, nods, sits down. Her face is impassive. The system displays a line, indifferent. Tired of this. Best student, Yuna. Applause. She stands up, bows, sits down. Hands folded on her lap. The system. She holds on, wants this to end. Best male student. The principal pauses, looks at the screen. His face changes. A small movement, eyebrows slightly raised. He reads the name. Han Jisoo. The room falls silent. A second of silence, then whispers. Then someone claps. One person. Somi. Then Liz. Then another. And another. The applause grows. Not deafening, not like a rock star's, but real. 400 people, half of whom didn't know his name 3 weeks ago, and the other half knew him as the ghost. They're applauding. Jisoo sits and doesn't move. The system announces, "Stand up." Jisoo stands up, slowly. His legs are heavy. He didn't plan to win. He planned to quit. But to quit, he has to stand up first. He walks toward the stage, down the aisle between the rows. On the left is Tanaka. He's sitting. His face is pale. He took second place. For the first time in 3 years, he lost to the ghost. The system displays a line, emptiness, not anger, emptiness. He doesn't know who he is now without first place. On the right is Ayaka. She's sitting. She's looking at Jisoo. The system displays a line. She found out yesterday. Her father told her over dinner, laughing like a joke. Remember that little restaurant I closed down 10 years ago? Well, that chef's son is now at your school. Can you believe it? Ayaka sat at the table and listened as her father laughed, and the world split in 2. For 3 years, she called that guy Ghost. 3 years. And her father destroyed his family and laughed about it over dinner. Ayaka looks at Jisoo. Her eyes are dry. But the system displays a line. Destroyed. Everything she believed in turned out to be a lie. Her father, her status, her place in the world. Everything. Jisoo doesn't see Ayaka's line. He walks toward the stage and looks straight ahead. He climbs the steps. He stands in front of the microphone. 400 faces. 400 pairs of eyes. Silence. The principal stands to the side with a certificate, waiting. Jisoo takes the microphone. His hands aren't shaking for the first time. He speaks quietly, not in a whisper, quietly, so the audience leans forward to hear. He says he wants to tell them something. that 3 years ago, during his first week at this school, they gave him the nickname the Ghost. That since then, they've dunked his head in the sink 12 times. That his textbooks ended up in the trash 7 times. That he was filmed without his consent and the videos were posted online for laughs. That all of this happened in this building, in these hallways, right here, within these walls. The room is silent, completely silent. Jisoo continues. He says that right now he's standing here with a certificate for top student, and that it's ironic, because the system that allowed him to be bullied for 3 years now calls him the best, as if one cancels out the other, as if the certificate erases those 12 times in the sink. He pauses. He looks at the principal. The principal stands motionless. The system displays a line. It wants Jisoo to stop. It can't stop him. 400 witnesses. Jisoo says he's giving up his spot in the rankings, not because he doesn't deserve it, but because the rankings aren't necessary. He says that good food isn't about taste, it's about someone thinking of you, and that the ranking is the opposite. The ranking is a system where one person gets everything and the rest feel like they're inferior, and that he doesn't want to be the best. He wants to be helpful. He places the microphone on the stand. He takes a container out of his backpack. Small, ordinary. He sets it on the edge of the stage. He says one last thing. This is for anyone who didn't have breakfast today. Come up afterward. The lights in the hall don't go out. This isn't a movie. It's a school auditorium with poor lighting and creaky chairs. But it's so quiet you can hear a car passing by outside the window. Jisoo steps down from the stage. He walks down the aisle. He sits in his seat. Somi is next to him. Her cheeks are wet. Liz is next to her. She clenches her fist and nods. Itsuki is next to her. He's silent. He looks straight ahead. His back is straight. The principal stands alone on stage. With a certificate, he has no one to present it to. He clears his throat. He says he thanks Jisoo for her words, that the school is always open to dialogue, that they will move on to the next category. His voice is steady, but the hands holding the certificate tremble slightly. The festival continues. Other categories, other names, but the energy in the hall has changed. Something has shifted, small, tectonic. After the ceremony, Jisoo steps out into the hallway. Ayaka is the first to approach the container on stage. She stands in front of the container and stares at it as if it were a bomb. Then she opens it. Inside are onigiri, plain ones, with salt. Nothing special. The simplest food in the world. Ayaka takes one. She stands there holding it. More people approach her. 5, 10, 20, 30. 30 people approach the small container with 3 onigiri. There are only enough onigiri for 3. The rest just stand there. Because it's not about the food. It's about the fact that someone placed it at the edge of the stage and said, "Come here." And they came. Yuna stands in the doorway of the auditorium. She watches this. She smiles. She cries at the same time. Just like that first day in the cafeteria when she was eating kimchi bokkeumbap and couldn't stop. Tanaka is sitting in the auditorium, alone. The chairs around him are emptying. People are leaving. He sits there. The system displays a line. For the first time in his life, he doesn't know who he is without the pedestal. For the first time in his life, he sees that the pedestal was empty. Ayaka is standing by the stage with an onigiri in her hand. She isn't eating. She's thinking about her father, about the restaurant, about what she did to Jisoo, about what her father did to his father, about how the guy she'd been destroying for 3 years had just put food on stage for someone who was hungry, and that she was the first to go up, because she's hungry. Not physically, in a different way. She's so hungry that no amount of her father's money can feed it. The system displays the last message of the day. Social score, 6 and 0. It doesn't matter. Numbers aren't needed anymore. You've outgrown them, Jisoo. The last day before vacation. Morning. Jisoo gets up at 5.
Not because of an alarm. His body is used to it. 5 in the morning is when cooking begins. He goes to the kitchen. His mother is already there, sitting at the table, a cup of tea in her hands. She hadn't slept. She looks at Jisoo and says that the school principal called last night, that he talked about the speech, that he said things his mother doesn't want to repeat. Something about ingratitude and a breach of protocol. His mother drank her tea and listened. Then she hung up. Then she called herself, not the principal, the legal advisor for the healthcare workers union. She asked about rights, about bullying, about the education law. His mother says all this calmly, evenly, like a post-shift report. Then she sets down her cup and says she's proud of him, the second time. But this time she doesn't just say it. She stands up and hugs him, briefly, tightly. Her hands smell of antiseptic and tea. She lets him go and leaves to get ready for work. Jisoo stands in the kitchen. His eyes are wet. He starts cooking. Not 5 containers today, more today. He takes out everything in the fridge. Rice, eggs, leftover vegetables, kimchi, cheese, ham, nori, umeboshi, honey, oil, flour. He makes onigiri, different kinds, with tuna, with umeboshi, with kimchi, with cheese. He makes tamagoyaki, delicate, slightly sweet. He makes small containers of rice and simple curry from the leftovers. He makes egg salad sandwiches. He cuts an apple into thin slices and arranges them in a fan shape. 12 containers. 12. Yuna, Somi, Liz, Kenta, Miku, Itsuki, Hayun, Rin, Emma, Aunt Marita, Mother, and the 12th. He stands with the last container and thinks. Then he starts cooking. Kimchi bokumbap, the very one, the one that started it all. Sesame oil, yesterday's rice, kimchi, an egg, a pinch of sugar, high heat, 30 seconds, a crust, the smell, his father's hands. He doesn't label the 12th container. School. The last day. The hallways are quieter than usual. After yesterday's speech, something has changed. Not everything, not forever, but something. People look at Jisoo, and he looks back. Not at the floor, not away, back at them. He hands out the containers along his route, to Yuna's desk. Today there's a note inside, the first one ever. One sentence. Thank you for being there, even when you were silent. Yuna reads the note, folds it neatly, puts it in her pocket, lifts her head, looks at Jisoo. For a long time, without words. Everything that needs to be said has already been said through rice and silence and little suns in the messages. He hands the one for Somi to her personally. He says there's a special onigiri inside, with a filling he came up with himself. Red beans and honey, sweet, just like her. Somi takes the container and says that if he keeps saying things like that, she'll start crying right here. Jisoo says he's sorry. Somi says there's definitely no need to apologize for that. Liz takes the container and opens it right in front of him. Pancakes, American style, thick, with caramel syrup. She looks at them, then at Jisoo, then at them again. Her eyes are shining. She speaks softly, almost in a whisper, that he's the only person on this continent who's made her a home-cooked meal. That she didn't know what that meant until she saw it. That now she knows. She closes the container, hugs him, quickly, tightly. Let's go. Turns away, and walks off so he won't see her face. Itsuki receives the container in the hallway, alone, without Tanaka, without Kenji. He's been walking alone for 2 weeks now, and for 2 weeks he's been sitting at Jisoo's table. Itsuki opens the container. Inside is a simple bento. Rice, tamagoyaki, pickled vegetables, just like from a cafeteria. But not from a cafeteria, handmade, for him. Itsuki says thank you, without any drama, like to a friend, because he is a friend. Hayun receives the container by the pool after her morning workout, wet hair, red eyes from the chlorine.
Her body moves freely, fully recovered. She opens the container, ginger tea in a thermos and salmon onigiri, just like the first time. She looks at Jisoo for a long time. She's used to being a prize, used to being offered things. But this guy doesn't offer anything, he just brings it. Every day. No strings attached, no expectations. She says she'll be training during the break, that the tryouts went well, that she made it through, that she wants him to come to the competition, to watch. Jisoo says he'll come. Hyun nods, turns around, stops at the pool door. Without turning around, she says that if he stops bringing her tea, she won't be able to handle it. And she leaves, quickly, just like the first time. He leaves a container on Emma's desk with a note, 3 words. You tried. Thank you. Emma finds the container during break. She opens the note. She reads it. She takes off her glasses. She presses the note to her chest. For 3 years, she thought she had betrayed him. For 3 years, she woke up with that feeling. 3 words on a piece of paper from a 17-year-old boy she couldn't protect. 3 words that tell her he survived, that he grew up, that he forgave her. For the first time in 3 years, she breathes normally, deeply, without heaviness. Aunt Marita takes the container from hand to hand. Jisoo says this is the last bento of the semester, that she'll miss his cooking during the break. Aunt Marita snorts. She says his cooking is nothing special, that she's seen better chefs. Then she takes the container and goes into the kitchen. The system displays a line. She's lying. She'll miss him so much that 20 years of service will seem empty without his containers in the mornings. Change. The last one. Jisoo walks down the hallway and sees Ayaka. She's standing by the window, alone, no entourage, no friends. Over the last 3 weeks, ever since she learned the truth about her father and the restaurant, everything has changed. She stopped bossing people around. She stopped being the queen. She became quiet, as if someone had turned off the sound. The system displays a line. She wants to go over. She can't. She doesn't know how to start a conversation with the person she's been destroying for 3 years. Every morning she wakes up wondering how. Every morning she can't find the answer. Jisoo stops. He looks at her. At the girl with the 100,000 yen bag. At the daughter of the man who ruined his father. At the one who came up with the nickname Ghost. He thinks for 3 seconds. Then he walks over to her. He takes out the 12th container. The very one. Kimchi Bokumpap. The one that started it all. He places it on the windowsill next to her. Ayaka looks at the container, then at Jisoo. Her lips tremble. She says she knows. About the restaurant. About her father. About everything. What her father told her, laughing. That she didn't sleep for 3 nights after that. That she doesn't know how to live with this knowledge. Jisoo listens, silently. Ayaka continues. She says she doesn't deserve this container, that she deserves everything she did to him, the sink, the nickname, the silence while others filmed, that she's worse than Tanaka because Tanaka didn't know his family was connected to Jisoo's family. And she knows now, and that makes every memory poison. Jisoo listens, waits for her to finish. Then he says one thing. He says his father never turned away a hungry person. Never. Not even someone who owed him a debt. Not even someone who had wronged him. His father used to say that food is neither a reward nor a punishment. Food is an acknowledgement that the person in front of you is alive and that they need to eat, no matter what they've done. Ayaka looks at him. Her eyes are full. She takes the container, opens it. Kimchi Bokumbap. Hot, with a crust, with an egg, with a pinch of sugar in the kimchi. She eats, standing by the window in the empty hallway, silently. Tears stream down her face, but she eats, every spoonful, until the end. Like Yuna on that first day, like someone who hasn't eaten in a very long time, not physically, in a different way. Jisoo stands nearby. He doesn't leave. Not like the first time with Yuna, when he said, "Don't answer,"
and walked away. He stands there because Ayaka needs someone to stand by her while she cries. Because 3 years of loneliness taught him one thing. The scariest thing isn't when you're being beaten. The scariest thing is when you're crying and there's no one around. The container empties. Ayaka sets it on the windowsill. She wipes her face with her sleeve. A 20,000 yen uniform. The sleeve is wet. She doesn't care. She says she'll talk to her father, that she doesn't know how it will end, but she'll talk. Jisoo nods. Ayaka leaves, slowly. Not quickly, not running away. Slowly. Like someone who, for the first time in a long while, doesn't know where to go. And for the first time, isn't afraid of it. The last class, the last bell. Summer. Vacation. Jisoo leaves the school through the main entrance. Back straight, head held high, backpack light. All the containers have been handed out. Standing at the gate is Takumi Yoshida, in a gray coat, despite it being summer. He stands and waits. Jisoo approaches. Yoshida says he's been watching all semester. That Jisoo did something no other carrier before him had done. He didn't use the system for himself, not once. Every action was for someone else. Yoshida says the system was created for people like Jisoo, for those the world has written off, for those who, even after being written off, continue to feed others. He says he knew Jisoo's father, that he ate at his restaurant, that the restaurant was the best place in the neighborhood, not because of the food, because of the feeling that you're needed, that you were expected, that a chair at the table was waiting for you. Yoshida says that the system isn't technology or magic. It's a legacy, left behind by those who walked through the darkness and decided that no one else should have to walk through it alone. He hands Jisoo a business card, a white one. It has only a phone number on it, no name. He says that when Jisoo is ready to learn the rest, he'll call, not before. Jisoo takes the card. Yoshida nods, turns around, walks away. This time he turns back, once, and smiles. Jisoo stands at the gate of Seirin High School. Behind him is the building where he was a ghost for 3 years. In front of him is the street. Summer, the sun. Summer vacation ahead. The second semester ahead. Ahead lies the truth about his father, the restaurant, and the Sato family. Ahead lie the other system carriers. Ahead lies so much. But now, right now, he takes out his phone. He dials his mother's number. She picks up after the third ring. He says, "Mom, let's have dinner together tonight. I'll cook." His mother is silent for a second. Then she says, "Okay." Jisoo puts his phone away. He walks home. On the way, he stops at a store. He buys groceries, rice, meat, vegetables, eggs, sesame oil, kimchi. He gets home, washes his hands, puts on an apron, the only one in the house, an old one, his father's, with a sauce stain that hasn't come out in 10 years. He stands at the stove. The system flickers quietly. The last message of the semester. First level reassessment complete. The world has seen you, Jisoo. 03 became 6 and 0. The invisible became the irreplaceable. But numbers are just numbers, and you are you, the boy who feeds people. Not because the system asks, because his father taught him, because his mother showed him, because 3 years of darkness didn't kill the light inside you. They made it brighter. Now it's your turn to see the world. The line fades. Jisoo stands in a kitchen the size of a pantry. The summer sun shines through the window. There's a frying pan on the stove. There's oil in the pan. Life begins in the oil. He's cooking. For Mom, for himself, for everyone who will ever sit at his table. The door opens. His mother enters. Earlier than usual. Much earlier. She stands in the kitchen doorway and looks at her son in his father's apron at the stove, and she smiles. Jisoo turns around. He says, "Sit down, it's almost ready." His mother sits down. Jisoo places a plate in front of her, kimchi bokkeumbap, the very same one, with a crust, with an egg, with a pinch of sugar.
just like his father used to make it. His mother looks at the plate, at her son, at the apron, at the sauce stain, and says his name, just his name, like back then, in the dark, through the wall. But this time, Jisoo hears everything behind that name. Everything. They eat together, in silence, at a small table in a small kitchen, just the two of them, mother and son. And between them, a plate of food prepared by the boy the world had written off, and who, in return, fed the world.